Hey, everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I am one of your hosts for tonight, Jake, and I'm joined by the Stream King, the Far Cry Guy, the man who may cry devil, and the double dog. No, let's see. It's a double dog plus a lad dad. There you go. How's that? Double dog and a lad dad. Steven. That's him, everybody. The newest dad on Chortle Games, Steven. How's it going, buddy? How you feeling? How you feeling? You've been a father for about a week, give or take. But who's counting? But who's counting? You know? How you feeling? How you feeling? Yeah? Little Peter. Right. Mm-hmm.
Slept like an absolute pro.
They can't hear you. Gah. Sorry, Steven.
You've got to stop doing that.
He's got a baby. Look, I'm trying to keep it so we can all chat. You know what I mean? I got it figured out. It's okay. We're good.
We got it, guys. We got it. I'll let Jake know a little bit more, though. He deserves it.
Just keep telling me. Just keep it going.
Keep berating him. That'd be great. But we've had a little bit of trouble with sleeping, just in that it's inconsistent. Like Saturday, Peter slept like an absolute pro. Only woke up when we woke him up to feed him. Last night, he was inconsolable from midnight to 7 a.m.
Oh, those are the worst when there's just nothing. There's nothing you can do. You just got to bear it. Yep. I've been telling Lee Allison, Steven, that I feel like you are going to be uniquely equipped as a father, especially to an infant, because you already struggle with sleeping. I mean, feel free to correct me there, but I feel
you're absolutely right. And I was prepared for that, but what I wasn't prepared was for my mental state to take the dive that it did, just because of how, because it's not even his fault. Well, obviously it's not. He's an infant. He's 6 days old.
Yes.
But the whole him keeping me up, like, because the only night that was really bad was last night. And other than that, there's just been this constant stressful feeling of like before. I mean, we talked about this a little bit on a stream, I think, before Peter was born. Like a week before, I started taking melatonin to help myself sleep. And I've taken it in the past, but I started taking it again, like alternating different supplements to help be tired. And that helped. But now it's like, even when I'm tired, because there's just so much on my mind, I'm having a hard time sleeping. And I can't even take melatonin or something to help make me drowsier.
Because you've got to be aware. You've got to be.
Because I got to be on. And so when it gets like the worst it's gotten was just very much a feeling of just being trapped. Like there's nothing anyone can do about this right now. But at the same time, I don't know when my next sleep is going to happen.
Yeah.
But Anna's mom has been an absolute champ. She's been coming by pretty much every afternoon, giving us a break. So that's been really nice.
Do we have a granny name yet?
Not yet. They already have a grandchild, and I think he's going to get to pick.
Gotcha.
But you guys want to meet Peter?
Oh yeah, special meeting. I didn't even think we'd get this. Special attention.
He's right there. He's right there.
I figured the most we would get would be the over the shoulder bassinet. But if we're ready for a full reveal, I'm ready.
All right, good.
Oh my goodness, everyone, this is very exciting. About to get the full baby reveal here. Oh my goodness, look at that little nugget. Of course, Flynn, the attentive brother, as always.
Oh, here's my boy.
Oh my goodness.
There's Peter.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't he precious?
He's so cute.
Yeah, there's my boy.
For everyone who has maybe not seen Anna as much on the channel, I can just tell you, he looks so much like Anna.
We have Anna's mom and dad brought over baby pictures of Anna. It's the same picture. They're literally the exact
it's
same.
Like how Peter's time traveled. What's happening?
It's wild. I'll have to send you.
Please do. Because it is uncanny, and I mean, obviously, Steven, I see.
He's got his dad's lobes, though. Poor bastard.
Poor bastard. I see features of you, obviously, but he is heavy on the mom side, especially the hair right now, which I guess it's a little hard to tell. It actually, from experience, it is very hard to tell at this age what their hair color is even going to really come out to be.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Oh gosh, Lee Allison came from down south,
from downtown. Baby. Here's the baby. Here's baby.
He's so cute.
Oh my good gracious. He's squishy.
I like how he's just so floppy right now. Steven.
He is so chill. He is so chill.
He's a trooper. You're talking about sleeping good. Like, come on. That's great.
Oh,
yep.
So before we go any further, I do feel like I should say that this is Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games. We talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about.
And we talk about
baby.
All we want to talk about right now is Baby Peter. Come on now, look at that guy. Of course, today we got a great show for you. We're going to talk all about the state of play that happened last week, the Nintendo Direct that happened last week. We're going to talk a little bit about how much fun we're having in Splatoon 3. We're going to talk about Edge Runners. We're going to talk about Assassin's Creed. We're going to have a big old time. So that's what we're going to keep doing. But first, we're going to just keep looking and oogling over Peter. So
there's a game that I want to talk about at some point in today's show that I've been playing that I just want to talk about because it's kind of topical with the whole tabletop RPG conversation we had. But we'll get there. Here's more Peter.
There's more Peter. That's all we want to do. That's all we want to do. Well, that's totally fine with me because we're going to do a little catch up. What you got, Lee Allison?
Steven.
Yes.
This is Lee Allison, everybody, my wife.
Hello. Steven, I need you to kiss his little tiny nose for me, please. Oh my God. I love Peter. Have a good evening. Also you, Steven, but mostly Peter.
Mostly Peter, yeah.
Yeah, get used to that phrase right there of you too, but mostly your baby.
Yep.
Okay, so back on track. Well, Steven, did you want to regale any? Well, I guess you've told the Flynn story. Flynn kind of becoming the best protective brother. You talked about that on Splatoon last night or the other night.
Yeah. So basically, I'll try to spare intimate details.
Please do.
Yeah. So we went in on Monday night, so a week ago today. We were scheduled for induction at 4:30. I'm not going to be super detailed on everything. I'm just kind of setting the scene.
Set the scene.
Saying stuff that's relevant. We were scheduled for induction at 4:30, and when we got to the front desk, the lady was like, "All right, I've got you for 9:30." And we're like, no. I did spawn a baby Akib. This is Peter. This is baby Peter.
Getting a special exclusive Peter time, everybody.
He looks just like his mama. But we were like, no. The paper says 4:30. You're putting us in now. And they did.
Thank goodness.
So we just hung out all night. They tried to induce labor, slow process because the reason we went in is because Anna's blood pressure was high. And so we just, and he was full term. So we just wanted to be safe for her sake and for his sake. Thank you, Akib. He is the chillest little dude.
I'm so impressed that you're like talking at your normal volume level, and he's just not. And then not to mention he's flopping around.
Oh yeah, I could. I'm not going to because that's awful. But I could shake him, and he'd be fine.
Were you caught off guard at all? Like, did they give y'all a booklet and it was like, "Don't shake the baby"? Like, if
they did, they gave it to Anna. I wasn't given any literature.
They gave us a little literature thing, and I was reading through it. And one of the things that was said multiple times was, "Do not shake the baby." And I was laughing at Lee Allison. I was like, "This is on such a high level of duh." But then the nurse was like, "No, but really,
you'd be surprised."
To tell people.
Yeah, shaken baby syndrome is. I mean, it's a big enough thing to where it's a syndrome.
They have a syndrome for it.
They have a syndrome for it. But it's a slow process. They were giving them medicine to kind of move things along. at like 8, 10, 2 a.m., 6 a.m. So it was constant.
It's an
but it was fine.
exhausting process.
We at that point we were pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
But labor kind of started around 6. They gave the Pitocin, and since Anna's blood pressure was high, Peter did not like that. Sorry, I'm skipping things. When she got the epidural, that dropped her blood pressure. That's because that's just part of it. And Peter did not like that because that was like taking someone who's been living in an igloo and sticking them on a beach, basically, like just a very sudden biome change.
Yeah.
And so that was something that happened, and they were like, "It's okay, we're good. Let's just keep watching, see what happens." And at this point, because it's our first kid, we were expecting a 12-hour labor, something like that. So this is about 8:30 in the morning at this point. And then the blood pressure thing happens again, and her doctor comes in, and she's just like, "We're not doing this all day. Let's get him out of there." And so we went from buckle up for another 12 hours of labor to you're going to meet your child in 20 minutes, basically.
Oh gosh.
Like at the snap of a finger, pretty much.
Yeah.
But thankfully we were prepared because her doctor was really good about saying, "Hey, because of this and this and this,
this is a possibility.
C-section is a possibility." And so it wasn't, "Hey, emergency C-section time." It was, "Hey, let's go to plan B." So that was good. Before I talk a little bit about the operation, I'm not going to provide any details. There were just a few noteworthy things that happened in there. But there was a moment. So when Anna got the epidural, which, by the way, Anna is Superwoman, because not only did she take the epidural without wincing, which, for those that don't know, it's basically a giant needle that goes into your spine.
Yes, and when Steven says giant needle, that doesn't even begin to cut. I mean, it is literally like, I can't show you on camera how long the needle is. It's ridiculous. Anyway, sorry.
There's Peter. There's your Peter. Hey, buddy. Another nose kiss. One for the YouTube shorts. So when she took the epidural, didn't wince, took it like a champ. And even in the OR, like Anna was such a trooper, didn't really complain once. The closest she got to complaining was just saying like, "Hey, I'm just really uncomfortable." But he's wiggling a little bit, so I'm trying to get him set. Oh, there we go. But in the OR, only thing she could say was like, "Is he okay? Where is he? Is he okay?" So I love that woman even more than I ever did because of what we've been through. So a couple noteworthy moments. On our TV, this is just one moment where I was like, as soon as it happened, it was like, "Steven, you're in crisis, but make a mental note to remind Anna of this later." But we had TBS on the TV, and George Lopez had been playing. Of course, it had. That's why we had it on, because everybody loves George Lopez. It's the most okayest sitcom.
It is such a good midnight
it's just good to have
watch,
there.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a vibe.
If you're about to tell me that Peter was born to the
No, he was not. Because the show, the channel moved on from George Lopez, and this is around the time we were getting the epidural, because we went to an operating room where there was no TV to have the C-section. But I checked on Anna, and I was like, I said something to her, and right after I asked her, I heard something on the TV, and I turned, and Two Broke Girls is on, that show with Kat Dennings. And so the very quick timeline of events goes something like me saying something to Anna, seeing Kat Dennings, then looking back at Anna going, So in my mind, it was, someone change the channel, get Kat Dennings off this TV. Oh man,
oh, that's awesome.
But so yeah, that was pretty funny. I told her, I was like, "Hey, I don't know if this cheers you up at all, but I just saw a commercial for cinnamon roll flavored frosted mini wheats. And she was just like, everything is repulsive right now.
I was about to say, she's in probably the most pain she's ever been in her life, and she's being a trooper, not complaining about it. And Steven's over here like,
that's what I do. Look, I didn't go into that thinking, this is my ace in the hole. I went into that thinking, the fact that I'm mentioning this
is going to be
probably get a giggle out of her.
Yeah.
But Peter, you stretching.
Peter.
But so something else. Well, let's move on to the operating room. So Anna's mom got there after we broke her water. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, hold on a minute, we're taking blood pressure, all that stuff. And then Anna's mom politely waits 20 minutes when she told her it was gonna be like 5. She waits like 20 minutes, and then she goes and is like, hey, can I come in there and see her? And they tell her, oh no, she's prepped for C-section. And so Kathy, Anna's mom, was like, get out of the way, I'm praying for my daughter. So she was basically like, do what you got to do, turn around, I don't care, but I'm coming in that room and I'm praying for my daughter. And she did. She got in there right before we rolled out. So Kathy got to see her right before.
Good.
Anna was awake for the whole operation, numbed, obviously, but they had a curtain up to where she couldn't see anything and where I couldn't see anything, thankfully. And I was sitting there by her head, just saying, hey, everything's okay. And her doctor at one point was like, oh, I see his hand. And it was just like, oh, shoot, there is a kid in there.
He has hands. Okay, great.
And so there the operating room staff, they absolutely crushed it because they did a really good job. One, of making sure that no one died, but two, they had such a good attitude and temperament to where they hit that perfect middle ground of, we know what we're doing, but also we're not nervous.
Right.
To where they were very confident. It felt like business as usual. But when they got him out, everybody was like, yay, happy birthday. Really good morale. And so we didn't hear it, though. They were like, oh, he's here. What a handsome little man. And they handed him over to a few nurses to kind of wake him up. And Anna was like, why don't I hear him? Is everything okay? And I saw him, and they were like trying to upset him so he'd cough up the fluid that was keeping him from. And then he let out a little cry, and it was like, oh crap, this is happening. And so then they were like, Dad, you want to come meet him? And I'll pause here. Something I've always known about myself, but it's always nice to get reaffirmed. I am excellent in crisis. I am and I'm going to brag on myself for a minute here, but it's all I have. I am so level-headed and just calm when everyone else is not, or when I need to be. Yeah. And so that's like, I didn't break a sweat at all during this entire process. I was just like, let's take everything as it comes. And so I got like, I guess this was part of it. I had a sudden burst of confidence because I felt like I was not moved by the situation in a way to, like, I wasn't made uneasy by anything. Right. And so when they're like, Dad, you want to come meet him? I was walking over there. I was like, yeah, sure. And I was walking over there, and they were like, oh, he's so handsome. This just came out of my mouth, but I said, don't know where he gets that from.
And a dad is born.
Yes.
On this day, a dad was born.
They gave me one of those Hawaiian lays. They were like, "You're dad now. You've been laid." And I was like, "Ah."
Wow, so many layers.
Yeah, but I didn't want to pull out my phone because I didn't want to be like that dad in an OR who had his phone out, but I wanted to take pictures, So I was like, just take it in the moment, like, wow, there he is. And then they were like, Dad, take pictures. I'm like, okay. And so I pulled out my phone and I took 2 pictures, and I tried to put it back, and they were like, no, more pictures. And so they were like, you got to take more pictures. So I took a lot of pictures. Oh, and also the first thing he did when they pulled him out was he peed on a nurse.
This is going to be my
So
favorite thing I tell about.
yeah,
Like when
yeah.
at Peter's wedding. This is what I'm going to say
Yeah.
at his rehearsal dinner.
Crazy Uncle Jake's drinking from his whiskey flask, talking about Peter peed on somebody.
I'm gonna be drinking my frisky. I'm gonna be like that. When Peter came into this world, I knew he was gonna be a little piss and vinegar because he was pissing on the nurses. That's what I'm gonna be.
Piss and vinegar is the most old man thing I've ever heard.
That's why I brought it up.
But yeah, Peter, as soon as he was born, went into self-defense mode and peed on the nurse. So he was born and chose violence.
And that's like such an intense form of violence, like because you can throw a punch, but it's a whole nother level when you're peeing on somebody.
Well, I mean, when you don't even know that you have hands, you use what you got. And
Matt's coming in here too, talking about the picture thing. I had like a full camera with the flash and everything.
Of course you did.
Lee Allison wanted. She was like,
Right.
I want you on like you can be a dad later. You've got to be camera guy first. She was like, I need immediate pictures for posting. So anyway.
Well, because we did a C-section, they handed him to me, and they were like, "Hey, take him down to transitions." And I got to walk over to Anna. She was still being sewed up, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to meet him?" And I gotta tell you, if brains had screensavers. For probably the rest of my life, or at least for the foreseeable future, mine would be Anna on the operating table with tears in her eyes, kissing Peter on the forehead for the first time. It was so sweet. So I walked him down to the transition room. We got in a dark spot in the hallway, and he opened up his eyes for what I had known to be the first time that he opened up his eyes, and he looked right at me. It was really sweet.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And then Anna's entire family showed up. So her mom, dad, and aunt who works there, and her aunt actually works at the hospital, and she gave Anna her first bath when she was born. She got to give Peter his first bath as well.
That's sweet.
Yeah. But they all showed up, and they put Peter in the perfect spot to where Anna's parents and aunt got to just watch his whole inspection from beginning to end because they were like feet away, but it was through a window. Yeah, that's how Peter got here. I don't think I'm missing anything.
That's so sweet.
Yeah,
that's I tell you, that's a those moments you won't forget. It's such an intense experience, especially the first time.
Yeah.
I imagine for the second and third, it's just as special, but it might be just old news at that point.
For those who have not heard this part, because I did talk about this during Splatoon, but the dogs kind of flipped the script on me. I was expecting Flynn to be intimidated and Minnie to be obsessed. They're the exact opposite, to where I think Minnie is intimidated because she hasn't gotten to be close to him a lot, and most of the times when she is close, he's crying, and she does not like that. But Flynn, from the moment he saw him, was in love, to where, like, literally when we walked, I've got video and pictures of this I'll have to share, but when we walked in the door when we came home on Friday, I had to hold Flynn back because he was just so eagerly jumping to lick Peter on the feet, to smell him. But ever since then, literally the moment he met him, Flynn has made it his job, or at least this is how I'm interpreting it, because I don't know how else to interpret it. Whenever Peter is upset, Flynn hunts him down to give him kisses and to try to comfort him. And one time it worked, and I was inconsolable because it was the sweetest thing I had ever seen. But yeah, we're good. Just getting through those first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But healthy baby, healthy mom. Couldn't ask for anything better except for two broke girls to not be on the television when Anna is in pain.
We can ask for the George Lopez theme song to have been playing as you guys were rolling out. Oh, well.
That's the first song he listened to on the car ride home, we had talked about this as a joke. I was like, hey, I'm going to bring a boombox and just put Earth, Wind, and Fire September on repeat. Just so that he comes out to that song. That was the first song that we played when we were driving him home, just because he's born in September.
Right.
And that song absolutely slaps.
Oh yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah. But anyway, any questions?
Any questions? We're going to talk about edge runners tonight, Austin.
Yes.
I don't have any questions. I think this is awesome. You guys are going to do great. You're already doing great. Keep the pictures coming. He's so sweet. My goodness. Well, welcome to the club, Steven. You're going to make a great dad. We knew you would be, but you already are. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
All right. Your segue. I'm going to put him back.
Okay. All right. How do I segue away from that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. But the best I can think of is we're just going to dive right in. So we had a lot of showcases this past weekend. Some of which we did react to. We reacted to the Nintendo.
You're trying to figure out how to
Direct.
segue?
No, I'm already here. I'm already segueing.
How'd you segue? I got
I
one
just
better.
dove right into it. Go for it.
What are you going to?
Nintendo.
Okay. Well, speaking of babies, oh baby, did we get some news?
Nice. That's good. I like that. And that's a clean. You could have taken that any direction you wanted.
Yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Peter in his bassinet. He has a little stuffed teddy bear, just super sentimental and sweet and sappy. And it was my first stuffed animal that I was given as a baby, and so I've had it kept in great condition, and so it's in the bassinet with Peter now, and so it's his now.
Akeem, we're going to get there too. We're going to talk all about Nintendo Direct announcements and PlayStation State of Play. I did a react to Nintendo, so you can go watch that. PlayStation's happened at literally the worst time for me. For one, Steven was having a baby, and then
we were in the middle of we were in the thick of it.
Yeah,
when that happened.
Yeah, and then I was being a single dad that week. Lee Austin was off on work. So, and Asher, I pick him up around 5, and the PlayStation Direct started at 5. So it was like, okay, so we didn't do a react to that, but obviously we watched it, and we'll go over all those announcements. And then we're not going to go over the full Ubisoft showcase, but we are going to park it and talk about Assassin's Creed.
I mean, basically,
they talked a lot about Assassin's Creed.
The vast majority of it was Assassin's Creed, and there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah. So anyway, and then Austin, I am going to talk about Edge Runners at the end. We may or may not talk about Splatoon. And give kind of a review of that.
I don't know how much there is left to. I feel like we've talked about it a lot. And
if you need any more of a review of Splatoon, other than the fact that it's become one of our games that we're cycling through right now.
Yeah.
I don't know that you can get a better review. Although I will, before we actually segue into anything else, I do want to show what I got myself for my birthday, which is an addition. It's a thing that goes to my Nintendo Switch. Okay.
Everything that you show, I have a delayed reaction because you still haven't. You never share your camera, so I'm seeing.
I'm sorry, it messes things up. Are you ready to see my Nintendo Switch?
In about 15 seconds, I'm ready to see your Nintendo Switch. Yeah.
My Nintendo Switch is huge. It's huge. This is the Orion. And it's a device that your Nintendo Switch fits in the back of.
Wow.
And then it's so delayed. But anyway, it's a giant screen. And so you can play all your Switch games on it. I don't know why it's being so annoying with but you can I've been playing Splatoon and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it also serves as just an external monitor too. It has an HDMI port that you can just plug in a PlayStation or whatever. So I got it today, and I've been playing a little bit. I'm going to play a little bit more tonight. But so far, it's freaking cool because it's just a huge screen. So
right.
Anyway, that's my fun birthday announcement. So
cool.
All right, let's get into the Nintendo Direct. So. I am coming off of Nintendo.com's fresh page for this, so none of this is in order, but we'll go through some of the highlights and headlines here. So,
good night, Austin.
Night, Austin. You can come back and watch. I'll be talking about Edge Runners.
We won't do an expansive talk about Edge Runners anyway. this is gonna be very surface level because I haven't gotten to touch it yet.
Yeah, I want Steven to watch it, but
Yeah.
I'll give some of my early thoughts. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so Nintendo Direct. This actually was the first thing they showed. They opened the show with this. It's the next Fire Emblem game called Fire Emblem
Engage, right?
Engage.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you this. I have not been a Fire Emblem person until Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Yeah. So this is not for you. Like not made
it's-
targeting you.
Oh,
But
well, I don't know.
but you'll probably get it.
I'm basically planning to get it unless they give me a reason not to. But I'll tell you this: the art style for this, just some of the scenes they showed were beautiful. So I'm like really, really excited. Now, Steven, you're a Fire Emblem fan. What do you take away from this trailer?
So I never even watched the trailer. I just read about it. I don't like it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just because it comes off like a mobile game, to where it's like either a mobile game or a offshoot game like Fire Emblem Warriors, where it's looking for a reason to cash in on the other stories rather than just telling its own story. You know.
Well, I was wondering, because as we were watching the trailer, I even said this in my reactions. I was like, I was trying to figure out if it looked like whoever the main character was had some sort of like spiritual connection to Marth, almost like Marth was his persona or something.
So it's not just Marth,
Right?
And this is the whole mobile game thing. A key feature is that you can call on heroes from the rest of the franchise. And now that I'm watching the trailer with no audio now, just kind of getting some visuals.
You're getting the same experience I got then.
Yeah. But maybe they won't lean on it as much. But the last time, so this series loves to lean on Marth a lot. Sorry, I'm eating gummy bears. Even though Marth is probably one of the least interesting characters out of all of them, but they love to lean on him.
Mm-hmm.
They did that in Fire Emblem Awakening, which is probably the best Fire Emblem game ever made. That was the one with Chrom and Robin and Lucina. But the way they did it in that was they acted like Marth was going to be in the game by showing quote unquote Marth, but it was Lucina wearing a mask. And the way they explained it was Marth is a hero from their historic past or whatever. And Lucina is from the future in which the heroes lost, and she and several of the children of other characters in that game were also sent. So it managed to explain itself pretty well, but this just seems like literally a mobile game feature is in my Fire Emblem game.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. We definitely need to see more before
Yeah.
I'm not pre-ordering this just yet, and I don't even think you can. But
at the end of the day, it's Fire Emblem.
Right.
It looks like it's gonna play like a Fire Emblem game, and that's cheating.
That makes it automatically good. So
Fire Emblem is just such an airtight formula at this point that it's hard to make a bad one.
Yeah. Well, I'll mix these first top stories that they have listed here up a bit because you're probably going to like the second one as well. But they also Pikmin 4 is confirmed. Miyazaki came on
with a T-shirt.
No, not Miyamoto came on screen. He had his T-shirt. They did show
Miyazaki, the creator of Dark Souls,
I
came out.
I was like, whoa, hold up, that's not right. No, he showed some like alpha screens or whatever. And what was interesting to me was they showed it. Oops, sorry, I clicked the video to see, but it almost like Pikmin has always kind of seemed like, oh, I'm happy. This is like somebody's backyard, but to my knowledge, there's never been like a park bench that we see and like a fence line and like.
See, I always thought that was it took place in kind of a Wall-E future, where Olimar was in space and it took place in the future. And he showed up at Earth after it was abandoned or something.
So almost all of them, they've all been Olimar and his and in later ones his team traveling to distant planets that resemble ours to mine in one it's food, in one he just
Yeah,
crash
I've
lands.
never played a Pikmin game, but I absolutely demolished as Olimar in Smash Brothers Brawl,
Hell yeah.
specifically Brawl.
Hell yeah. But anyway, that was the most like, oh shit, this looks like we might run into like people. Like it just looked very real in world. So anyway, super exciting. I'm a big fan of Pikmin. Also, Miyamoto did talk about how he wants to improve the tactics of the game. Because part of the game, Steven, is you're commanding your Pikmin, and usually what that
Right.
looks like is you throw them at thing, they react to thing, and then they
Yeah.
do thing, and that's about it. You can tell them like formations to like get behind you, like surround you, get behind me, follow me, like whatever. But he made it sound like they were going to add more of a
Are they turning
tactician.
Pikmin into a Fire Emblem game?
I don't think Fire Emblem, like I don't think it'll ever be like.
Take your Pikmin to class to teach them.
I'm thinking it like what I'm imagining, and I don't think it'll be anywhere near this intense, but I'm thinking of like a real time like war tactics game.
So you're thinking something like, gosh, what's that game that just came out? Eidolon, the game that's like real time, but you can pause it.
I don't even think you would be able to pause, but I think you would be able to like command a group of Pikmin to do certain things, like maybe even ranged moves. Like I think some Pikmin have had stuff.
So
like
you don't
that.
you don't think they'd let you pause so you can queue commands?
Maybe that would be new for
To me. Any real time strategy game that isn't like real time strategy RPG, I guess. If it's an RTS with like base building and all that, that's one thing.
Right.
But if it's one where you are commanding a party rather than an army, it pretty much to me has to have some kind of slow or time freeze so that you can queue commands.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That just seems standard to me.
Oh, that totally makes sense. That's definitely not something Pikmin has ever had, because that's part of it is when something happens with you and your Pikmin, it's very stressful because you have literally hundreds of them to deal with, and it's just like, okay, I gotta run, we gotta avoid water, but wait, this type of Pikmin can get in the water, so it's intense. It's a lot, and not to mention, I think it was 3 introduced where you could like switch party members. So like I might have Olimar and a group of yellow Pikmin doing X, but then I have one of the other team members with a group of blue Pikmin, in a whole different area of the map, and I can like flip between who and like command different parties. So anyway, either way, very excited about that one. Looking forward to that one. We got Octopath Traveler 2 was announced.
Hell yeah.
8 new travelers on a new journey. How
did you
excited
ever-
are you for that, Steven?
I'm not like pre-ordering right now or anything like that, but Octopath Traveler was one of those games that it was a JRPG that had one of the best presentations for a JRPG that I'd ever seen, because it was very creative and unique in its concepts and its art style, and the music was great, because the whole thing is you pick your starting traveler and you go through their first part of their story, and then you can go to other areas in the map and meet other travelers and get their part of the story, and then they join your party. And so you've got these 8 characters that are all the main character that feed off of each other's personality and stuff. Very creative, super cool, but it lacked substance, I felt. Like it just felt like, here's a JRPG that feels a bit bloated, but at the same time lacks staying power. But it has a lot of really good ideas. So a sequel to Octopath Traveler has me very intrigued, because if they can give the game itself, like make the individual stories better, because the problem with Octopath Traveler was since the stories were, for the most part, actually I think all of the stories were just the stories of the characters, it lacked something that brought cohesion to all the stories. Like there was no big bad grand threat that I ever found. It was just, what's the warrior guy's arc leading up to, like, what's the final boss for the warrior guy? So like, there was no overarching story as far as I remember. It was just finishing the individual character stories and having other characters along the way to kind of see how they played off of each other.
Yeah.
So if they could do that to where you get the full story for all the individual characters, but also make it to where they're uniting for something, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. I never could get past the art style for Octopath.
You don't like the art style?
I don't know. I just can't. Let me back. I appreciate it. It's not a draw for me. Like, I don't look at it and say, oh my God, I want to stare at 20 hours of this. And then, like, I did try it. I tried a demo, and it's the wrong type of turn-based that I like.
Yes.
And I'm not saying there's anything like wrong with it. It's just not. It was too. It reminded me so much of like Final Fantasy, like probably 3 or 4, wherever when I was little. That's like would have been one of the first ones I ever tried. And I just, especially then, I really couldn't. I still can't now.
It felt like an old JRPG with a brand new style of presentation.
Yeah.
And so you got games like, to me, Triangle Strategy, which emulates a very similar art style, great music, great characters. I'd argue that the writing is way better in Triangle Strategy, and it's got great gameplay. So, like, to me, if Triangle Strategy was the first time I saw that art style, it would absolutely be like a big draw for me. Because with Octopath Traveler, its art style is what caused me to say, okay, so this is a little different from other JRPGs.
Right.
And from that point, it was like, okay, like, you know, peeling back the onion to see, okay, it's all these different characters. And so it was a draw for me initially, but it wasn't the draw. It was just
kept
the thing.
You staying. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the thing that got me to say, okay, what are you about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, hopefully they can improve on a sequel. And then the other big headline, and there's probably more, but this is the top story that Nintendo themselves kept at the top, and arguably it's the biggest story. We no longer have to say Breath of the Wild 2. We can finally say Tears of the Kingdom. So we got a name release and a date release. It's coming out May 12th of 2023. So a little bit later than I was hoping for 2023, but hey, I'll take it.
So I had forgotten that they canceled this direct in the UK or something. Like, and Skill Up, when I watched his This Week in Video Games, he was like, Breath of the Wild 2 is called Tears of the Kingdom. And now it makes a lot of sense why they did not air this in a country that is in the middle of mourning.
Can we talk about like the amount of like cosmic universal like karma or just like happenstance? Like, what are the odds that this has probably been, they have probably known this name for maybe a year, and the time they choose to announce it, the Queen of fucking England dies. Like,
those kinds of
what?
Those kinds of cosmic happenstance happen more than you'd think.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there have been just these PR nightmares that have come out of nowhere. Where,
like, how could you have planned for that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the Queen was old. Okay, we have been all not waiting for her to die, but like, we have all known this could potentially happen at any time. Okay,
yeah. I didn't even know she was. I didn't even know she was sick until the news broke that she was dead.
Yeah, I didn't either. But like, just like, we all know that. But like, you don't think about. Oh yeah, the name of my game is going to be really awkward if that happens right now. But anyway, I'm glad. I'm glad it worked out how it did, where like just the UK respectfully did not show the trailer. They posted everything afterwards for as a VOD. But at the same time, I'm glad this didn't delay for the world to get this news out there. So it was handled the right way. Yeah, I think so. It was just super unfortunate. Oh yeah, what a crazy coincidence. But the game continues to look awesome. We're gonna hear another click. Sorry, I can't get to the mute button fast enough on that. But the trailer is awesome. We get some more kind of like cave
Are you meaning to show this footage on
No,
stream?
I'm just
Okay.
talking about it.
Okay.
I didn't want to do a whole like react
Yeah.
analyze thing.
I wasn't sure if you were like you'd put a lot of effort into it and just forgot to hit buttons, because I'm over here just like there's nothing on the screen.
There's so many like exciting details. Like I do at some point would love, like if we ever need like a podcast to just like deep dive into something, we could just talk about what is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom going to be about, because I feel like if somebody looked at all of the trailers we have combined now, a clearer picture would start to form.
Right.
But it just continues to look amazing. There's that cool stone bird thing at the end that really had me going. There's a lot of dragon symbolisms in this, and of course I'm a big dragon person, so I'm just so excited. I don't know what to really expect at this point, other than more Breath of the Wild, but more, you know. So high hopes. The dogs are real excited about Tears of the Kingdom.
What? What's going on? Okay. More Peter. He's awake.
Hey, Peter. He's like, oh, Dad, the screen's so bright. We're going to go through some quicker. I think these are all mostly headlines at this point, so we can go through these pretty quick. But It Takes Two. It's coming to Nintendo Switch.
Move on.
Real fun co-op game if you want to play that with your friend. Just ignore the story. Just ignore every piece of the story. Moon Baboon clip comes out, I think, Wednesday or Thursday. Then Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, which was like a spooky game that's coming west. So there's that. You're getting Wave 2 of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 expansion.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know we had Wave 1 already.
I think Wave 1 was pretty small. This one comes with a new character. She's and the direct was so funny, you know, because they always had that guy, the voice guy, right? And
the guy who's definitely reading Japanese translated to English.
Oh yes. And he always asks questions at weird times, you know, like some things are posed as questions. And so in the direct, he was like, "Test your mettle in challenge battles and team up with a new mechanical hero."
Yeah,
it was just like, what? And then he showed this. I
still haven't beat Xenoblade. I'm at the end. I just kind of stopped because I burned out. But it's still phenomenal game.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah.
Real quick, you mentioning the like Japanese translated to English. I mentioned this when I was playing Metal Hellsinger last night on stream, which by the way, so fun. But I upgraded my PlayStation membership to the one where you can download a bunch of games.
Yep.
So I downloaded Assassin's Creed.
The middle one. The middle one. Yep.
Yeah. And so there's another game in there called not Front Mission. That's coming up here. Left Alive, which should have been amazing because it's a character designer from Metal Gear Solid, one of the guys that did Armored Core. So like you'd think, oh, cool, this will be awesome, right?
Right.
It's borderline unplayable.
Oh God.
And maybe it gets better, but like it's so ridiculously punishing to where like, and I'm getting to the funny bit, but like it's so bad where it takes like 4 headshots with your pistol to kill a single enemy, and also there are mechs that just kind of show up sometimes and can nuke you pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play the game, but I want to because I love both of. I think the character design for Metal Gear is one of the best things it ever did.
Yeah.
And Armored Core is a gem. But there was a moment where I was talking to this soldier, and he was like, "Who are you?" And I had the choice to be like, "Who's asking?" or to introduce myself. I introduced myself, and so I was walking past him. And the game, you know how games do the tutorials where it's like press square to reload. This one said, making decisions will affect the story. Did you make the right decision? Moreover, does the right decision even exist? And it was just so like, okay.
He just asked my name. Like, it's okay.
It felt very much like they got someone who has a master's in English to write that one tutorial. Like he really wanted to make it pop.
Yeah, this is like the only thing they hired him for. They're like, this is my
Yeah.
big break. This is my
It's
big
his
break.
one.
I wrote for this game. That's funny. Just some even quicker hits here. SpongeBob SquarePants: The Cosmic Shake is coming to Nintendo Switch. This crazy looks like it's called Fitness Boxing
Oh my
Fist of the North Star. It looks like JoJo. Is that the right name?
That's no Fist of the North Star. You know the Nani meme where the guy's like, "You're already dead."
Yeah.
That's Fist of the North Star. So his whole thing is that he could literally like make people explode because he's so fast. But now you can do fitness boxing.
You can do fitness.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe we're fine.
I'm looking at YouTube, and
YouTube,
first of all, you upset my child. Second of all,
YouTube was spinning for a second, but it looks like it's still going.
Your network definitely crapped out because you got super quiet.
Yeah.
But it is connected, and we're back.
Okay. All right. That was weird. It looks like we're back. I'm seeing excellent connection. I'm getting excellent connection. So there we go.
We did. Akib.
Okay, but Akib, let me know if you still hear us now. That we're still good. So okay. He says we're good now. We look good. We look good now. We looked better when Peter was on camera, but that's okay. Oddballers, Steven, I was saying that was one that I don't know if you watched that one's trailer or not, but you should check that out. It's a dodgeball game, kind of a nonsense dodgeball. Could be a fun stream or two. And then Tunic, the Xbox game that looks like a Zelda-like, is coming to Switch. So very exciting. There's a Front Mission that Steven was just talking about. There's 2 remakes that are coming to the Switch, and then there's a 3rd remake on the way. So
I never got to play any of the original Front Mission. I played Front Mission Evolved before I knew what Front Mission was. That was a game they released on PC that it was basically a third-person shooter. It was fine.
Yeah.
But Front Mission is like Fire Emblem, but with mechs.
Yeah. You can't go wrong.
Let's go.
You can't go wrong.
I'm all about that.
Then we had what started a trend for the rest of the Direct, but we started it off right with arguably the best farming game that has ever existed in the universe. Okay, it's called A Wonderful Life in Forgotten Valley. From its Story of Seasons, which, if you'll recall, is the new Harvest Moon. Okay, there is still Harvest Moon content, but it's not by the same people anymore, so they're not as good. So anyway, this was a GameCube game.
Yeah, it looks like a GameCube game.
I don't know that they are. I don't know that it's. They never say remake or remaster. It's basically like they're pretending this is a new game, but it is. I literally played so much of this game on GameCube, and I can tell you for 1,000% fact this is the same game, just with a new name. I am so excited about this one. Like when it first happened in the Direct, I was just like, "Oh man, remember? Oh, that's cool. This is crazy. Why is it called whatever?" As I've sat longer with it, I'm just like, "Yeah, I need to get this. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna beat this because I never did." It's kind of the cool thing about this one, Steven, is like you literally age in the game. Like as you complete objectives, you like progress time. And I never finished the game on GameCube. I never figured out like what my next step was supposed to be. So I'm very much looking forward to this one. So we got our announcement for our first Splatfest, which we'll be participating in this weekend. So look forward to that. We got our second farming title. Did you want to stop and say something about Splatoon?
No, we need to keep going.
Okay. I heard that's why I'm moving quick. So you just stop me. Yeah. We got our second farming game, which is this new fairy tale life farming sim called Fae Farm. Yeah. You know, what's funny is it looks like the same art style as Tim, but you're farming with your friends. So
wow, it really does. Like everyone has the same shaped head with like stickers for facial features.
So hey,
Portal Knight / Temtem, but hey,
if it's your thing, sure. We got a Final Fantasy 13 35-year theater rhythm game, so very exciting. We got another look at Mario plus Rabbids, just kind of talking about the game a little bit. I don't think there was any.
It's looking real good.
I'm glad you're excited about it, Steven, because
I don't know if I'll get it. It's one that I'd probably get on sale, but
that's
but like, and I guess we can talk about this real quick because it crosses over. They did show a boss battle at the Ubisoft Direct or the Ubisoft Forward, and it looks really neat. I love how much, and I don't know how much they did this in the first game, but compared to the little bit that I played in the first game, it really looks like it's coming to its own identity as a game that started by saying, what if Mario did XCOM? But now it just feels like it's injected so much more of that Mario feel.
Yeah.
To where it's rather than an XCOM Mario game, it's like a Mario game with XCOM elements, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, the first game, I mean, I think your experience with the first game was fighting me. So, like, I'm sure that's not a good demo of the game, but yeah, the first game was good. The first game was challenging. Like, I never beat it. I eventually just gave up. But yeah, I don't know that I'm gonna like pre-order this or anything. But like you said, a sale maybe would be a good get.
It's just looking real cool. Like, I love how just detailed and involved the whole
it's a beautiful
combat
game.
areas.
It's a beautiful game. So we got Rune Factory 3 returning to Switch. We got some more Nintendo 64 announcements. Prime of which, well, first off, all 3 Mario Party games that were on Nintendo 64. Very exciting. Mario Party 1, 2, and 3. Stadium, Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. I know.
That's a big deal.
Super exciting. And then, arguably, the most exciting of all, they closed it with GoldenEye as like their big reveal. You can play it online. Weirdly enough, it's also coming to Xbox Game Pass, but it's not playable online with Xbox, which doesn't make any sense. But okay, here we are.
Super strange.
Yeah. We also got an announcement for Various Day Life, which is another farming simulator. Such a funny name. Factorio.
It's funny to me because they started that segment where they introduced Various Day Life, which is just another farming RPG sim. They start that segment by saying, mix it up on the Nintendo Switch. Here's the 5th farming game we've talked about in the past.
Only the third, but it does pile up quickly. There's a Factorio, which is like I don't know, you make a factory on a desert planet or something. I
feel like that's pretty big on PC.
IB was this freaky, like little girl gets trapped in an art museum that's haunted thing. It was terrifying. Not about it. And then Mario Strikers Battle League is getting some more content. To which I interject here, Steven. Did you ever get Mario Stars Battle?
I did, and you never did.
I'll get it. I didn't realize that had popped off.
I got it. I played it for a day, and I was like, that was fun. But there's nothing left.
Well, do I need to get it, or should I not get it now?
I mean, if you want to play some Mario Soccer, let's get it. I'll play it, but it doesn't have much staying power past the PvP scene.
Okay, well,
like there's just not a lot to do.
We can talk. We can talk more about it later.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to say this one.
Atelier Riza.
Right? They've got a 3rd game coming. It's a cool little anime game if you want to play that. We got Wave 3 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass is coming, so some more passes. Nintendo Switch Sports is getting golf, finally, so there's that. They did a next level Just Dance. So
they showed that at the Ubisoft Forward, and it was really awkward.
Props to Just Dance for being just a series that just will never die. But like, I literally just never care, and they always go so hard on their trailers.
That's because no one who buys video games plays or buys Just Dance. It is.
Then why take up the time? You know what I mean? Who is buying? Like, I would love to see the numbers that show
the people that don't play video games.
Well, no. I get that. Are people who don't play video games watching these directs?
No.
I don't understand. There's no way in hell. That's what I'm saying. Show me those numbers. Show me the correlation where showing this Just Dance trailer in this direct makes a difference for you. Because I
think they do it for the memes at this point. They know what they're doing.
Maybe so.
At the Ubisoft Forward, I don't know if this is what they showed at the direct, but they were like, here's our new mode we're really excited about. and it's a Zoom call dance mode.
Oh, God.
Because people love those.
Yeah, no.
So let's want to play dance with your friends. Get in a Zoom call. That's a little too late. You're about 2 years too late for that
2
feature.
years too late. 2 years too late.
Also, thank you for reminding me that COVID existed.
We got now our fourth farming game, Harvestella, which I'll pause and say, man, I wish Harvestella looked better than it does, because it is, when I describe my dream game of just like a Zelda game, but then when it's done, it's Animal Crossing. Like, that's my dream game. That's what Harvestella is, but I don't want to play it. Like, maybe if reviews turn around and are really good.
Square has been really pushing this game.
Oh, I know.
So
it doesn't look like a game they'd be pushing, though. You know what I mean? Like, it looks very much like a B tier or C tier game. I don't know if reviews end up being good. The concept already has me. I just don't like how it looks or looks like it plays.
Have you played the demo yet?
No.
It's got a demo.
Maybe I'll do the demo.
I'll have to play the demo too. But Square, it could go either way. They've been.
I hope it's good, because like I said, it's and honestly, I should just support it just so people are like, this did well because it's this cool concept. Like, because I love the concept. It's what I want in all my games. But anyway, we got more Bayonetta.
Skip.
She's coming. Don't worry.
She's here.
We got
Eventually.
Welcome to the City of Perpetual Rain, which is the new game from the creators of Danganronpa. The 4 Resident Evil games are coming to Switch. A lot of them are cloud versions, so there's that. We also got Sifu coming to Switch. It looks awful. It looks so bad on the Switch. If you want to play Sifu, play it anywhere else. But if Switch is your only option, sure. We got Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion is coming. Endless Dungeon, which I remember, Steven, you being excited about us playing.
They keep releasing stuff like saying like, "Hey,
out,
this
that's
game
not
exists."
out yet, right?
No,
Yeah.
and we don't know when it's coming out.
Okay, yeah. I want to play it. We just keep forgetting about it.
Mike, it's the Resident Evil games are
It's
Village,
Biohazard, Resident
8,
Evil
7,
2,
2 and 3. Yeah,
2 and 3. Yep. Like almost all of them. Now most of them are cloud versions, but
yeah.
hey,
I
whatever.
would say probably all of them are cloud versions.
There's a remaster of Tales of Symphonia coming to Nintendo Switch. Symphonia, thank you. Life is Strange. Arcadia Bay is coming. That's the collection. Romancing Saga Minstrel Song. I don't even remember this one. That's coming. It's remastered. Lego Brick Tales is coming to Switch. Disney Speedstorm, we got another trailer for that's coming to Switch. And then Fall Guys, I think, just started a new space season, and it's also coming to Switch. It's already on Switch, but anyway. And then
Brick Tales looks really cool, by the way. Just to talk about that,
it's been out for a while on other platforms, I think. But.
Yeah, I think it's been on PC only, or at least that's the only thing I've seen it for. But I've never actually looked into it or played it.
Yeah,
it's basically a Lego puzzle game, but the puzzle is you like putting a Lego set together, and it like animates it.
The puzzle is you.
Seems pretty cool.
And then this is the last thing they have on our list, but it was one of the later announcements. And I remember when this got shown, I was just like, we're not getting Zelda, are we? It was like, I think there were like supposed to be like 5 minutes left of the thing. And they showed Kirby's Return to Dreamland, which is getting a remake. They showed that with like 5 minutes left. And I was like, oh, this is, we're not getting Zelda, but we did get Zelda. So it's all good. But that was the Nintendo Direct. It was, it was pretty good. It's one of those, like, you go back and look at it and you're like, man, that's a lot of farming sims. But we got Zelda, we got Pikmin 4, we got Octopath, we got Fire Emblem, we got A Wonderful Life, So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Are you good, Steven? Do you need to go? Do you need to dip for a second?
No, I was just telling Anna how I'm sweating my balls off over here when it's not hot in this house according to everyone but me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like sweating. You can see sweat lines on my shirt.
It's part of being a dad. You get like this superhuman body heat that starts to cake on you. So
I hate it.
We're gonna move to the state of play that happened. And I'll tell you this too. Right before I did sit down to watch the state of play, I realized like it clocked in my head that this was a state of play and not a PlayStation showcase.
Yeah.
And from that moment on,
I'll be right back.
my hype
You can
levels
keep talking.
immediately dropped. So I lost a lot of excitement for this one. But they opened it with a Tekken 8 trailer that looked really cool. I'm not a fighting game guy. I'm not a Tekken guy, but it looked super neat. So if you're into those games, I think you're in for a good one with that one. Listening to other people who are Star Wars people talk about it has been really cool. Like they're all like really hyped about it. So hopefully it'll be good. We also got.
Oh,
I thought, Steven, you got any thoughts on Tekken 8 before I?
Big man punch.
Great. I love that. That's where your head's at. We got 2 PSVR 2 announcements. One of which being Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge,
It's on the Quest.
which is on the Quest now. So kind of a lame. Both of these are lame announcements. Two things. Number one, I'm glad that they're already on another system because I kind of don't want to buy a PlayStation 2 VR2 because I already have a Quest. So I don't really want to hear about a lot of exclusives.
Yeah.
But as a PlayStation person who's like trying to be sold this thing, neither of these did it. The other one was Demio. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, which is on Quest, and it's fantastic.
I'm down to play it sometime, Steven, if we can figure out how to make it work.
We could just get it on Steam. There is a non-VR version, and the VR version's cool because you're
in VR, but yeah,
you're playing a tabletop game in VR basically, and so
Right.
you like can move around the table and everything. That's cool, but VR is just so inconvenient to stream.
yeah.
If we can figure it out, I'm all for it. I think that'd be an excellent game for us to do on stream.
We'll look at it. We'll look at it. Then and again, I'm not doing this in particular order. I'm trying to go from memory here, looking at this list. But we got Like a Dragon Ishin, I think is how you say it, coming out in February. As I understand it, this is a remake of an older Yakuza game.
It's a PS3 remaster, but the original never came to the States, so
Yes.
it's a first time for us.
Yes. And it basically looks like Yakuza if you were a samurai.
Yeah.
And there's guns and all the crazy things you'd expect from a Yakuza game. I don't know about you, Steven, but this is the most I've ever thought I might want to try a Yakuza game.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I can that makes sense to me, but to me, like, I don't know if they can capture just the unbridled shenanigans that is a Yakuza game that takes place in modern day. Because my only window into the Yakuza franchise was, well, I've got 2. The first one was this time when a guy who I spoke to maybe 3 times in college, but he was always really nice to me. He talked my ear off about it for 45 minutes, and I didn't even know what he was talking about. But then I remembered it was, oh yeah, Yakuza. Okay. And 2 is every time Donkey plays Yakuza, and it's a great time.
It's a great time, yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like I've never really cared about the modern day situation, but when you throw it back and you got swords and
But you can't do karaoke. You can't get in stock car tournaments. You can't.
But I think you could,
Get a dog to
though.
be your
Like
bowling manager.
I kind of feel like they're gonna mix that in anyway. So I'm not like pre-ordering it today, but if reviews come out hot for it, I want to try it. So
Be right back.
anyway, that one's really exciting. Pacific Drive. I'm trying to remember. Oh, okay. So Pacific Drive was this interesting like first-person car game. So you're driving around in like this older car that's been decked out in all this gear, and you're driving through like these crazy like storms and environments that you're running around in. It's all first person. You do kind of get in and out of the car. It was a very interesting showing. Like when I watched it, I thought, I was like, oh, is this another VR game? Are we cutting back to VR? But then it ended up being not VR. It's just first person. I don't know. I'm interested in this one. I like games about like traveling. They call this Steven, you'll love this. You showed up just in time. Oh man, they didn't. Okay. I'm talking about Pacific Drive, Steven, which was that first-person driving in a car game.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
One of their write-ups called it a road-like, like rogue-like, but road-like. Anyway, you're driving around in this place called the Zone. You're scavenging for resources to maintain your car, and I think you're collecting stuff for the government or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It looks like Chernobylite meets National Lampoon's Family Vacation.
It gives me, and I know this is such a weird comparison, but like it gives me Firewatch vibes, and I think it's just the first person elements of it. But even like in the style, like the art style, just kind of seems like it fits that. I don't. This is one I'll watch. Steven, I thought it was going to be a VR game when they first started showing it.
It'd be a great VR game,
right? It seems so strange that it's not. Yeah. But anyway,
I VR to me, when it first started becoming a thing, to me it was like, okay, VR was made for first person shooter games. Mm-hmm. That just seems like it'd be such a cool experience. I've changed my mind. VR is made for car and mech games.
Yep.
Because there's a game called Vox Machina that exists right now. You can go play it. I own it. It's amazing. It's a first-person VR mech game, so you control the pilot in the mech, and you have to like control your throttle over here. You've got a horn up here you can pull. You can turn the torso with another joint, so you're having to actually like do all the beep boops and everything. Mm. That kind of experience.
Do all the beep boops.
That is what VR was made for. Give me Mech Warrior in VR, and
I might have to try that. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's got great co-op. It's got bot support, so
okay, we can play that. Maybe we'll do it.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, anyway, we'll keep an eye on Pacific Drive. That may be a dark horse to come in and win. Speaking of things that are dark,
it looks very unique.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are dark, we have a dark secret awaiting us in Hogwarts Legacy. It's the haunted Hogsmeade store, which is a PlayStation exclusive quest. So suck on that, Xbox Hogwarts people. You're not going to get to do this cool shop quest. It was unclear. I don't know if you watched the trailer for this one, Steven. It seems like we're going to become the owner of this shop. And I have
put on way too much on these students.
I have no logistical information backing up my understanding of this because they did not explain it any further. But I think we're gonna get this quest, and then I think we're gonna run the shop afterwards. I could be totally wrong, but I hope I'm not because it looks super fun, super cool. But anyway, that's a PlayStation exclusive there, so real exciting. Let's see. Oh gosh, bless you.
Fan behind's me kicking up some dust on my computer desk.
I understand that. They did talk about. They also talked about the digital collectibles coming to PlayStation Stars. I don't know if we ever talked about this, Steven. PlayStation Stars is basically like a rewards program that they're going to start doing. It's free to join. And the big thing they talked about with it was you were going to get digital collectibles, which sent red flags up for everybody. Like, oh shit, Sony's doing NFTs, and they have assured many times that it's not. They showed some in this, and I won't say they were stupid, but it was just very what is this for? Like, what are we going to do with this? Yeah. They talked about having like a trophy locker or something that you can show these off. And it's like, remember PlayStation Home? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, maybe if we still had that, maybe that would make sense. I don't know. Yeah. They're also they haven't really talked about this, but they're talking about you can earn discounts and stuff for the store. I'm way more interested in that than these digital collectibles, but I don't know. We need to see more. They definitely did not show enough to explain or incentivize me to do this, but we'll see. We got a new story trailer for Stellar Blade, which was formerly known as Project Eve. This is the most hype anime shit.
Sony's Bayonetta.
It's Sony's Bayonetta mixed with a little bit of Nier Automata, I think. You're like an anime chick with a sword fighting mechs and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. So more power to you if you're interested in that one. They also revealed Rise of the Ronin, which is a new action RPG from Team Ninja. It looks like Ghost of Tsushima on crack. Like there's a point where the Ronin like jumps off a cliff and like a full like Da Vinci wingsuit pops out of his back and he floats down. Like
The prospect of an open world Team Ninja game has me hype because
there's guns in it. There's obviously katanas. It's gonna be crazy.
they are the kings of combat systems. Like they make really good action games, and so to have like an open world samurai game by them sounds great.
We're gonna get to a new God of War trailer here in a minute. So barring the exception of that being like just a known quantity, Rise of the Ronin was by far my biggest takeaway from this. Obviously, I'm super excited about Hogwarts Legacy, but I know about it. Like this shop is cool, but whatever. Rise of the Ronin is the thing that I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on the sharpest after this. It looked really good.
Have you talked about Synduality
That's
yet?
the very next one. So tell me.
Why did no one tell me about this? Because I like looking through I hadn't watched the State of Play. I didn't know about this.
Oh, you know what? I skimmed through this one. So what's got you hip hop and happy about this one?
It is a third person mech game where it looks like a very anime game where you've got like an AI partner that's floating around you at all times. Of course, she's an anime girl,
cute anime girl, yeah.
But get this, you call your mechs, they are cradle coffins, which is the worst name for a mech I've ever heard in my entire life.
Cradle coffins, wow.
Cradle coffin. You take on the role as drifters who make a living by collecting AO crystals, a rare resource that can only be obtained in dangerous terrestrial environment. So this just looks like I'm getting Anthem vibes if it was an anime, and it instead of suits, it was like mech suits rather than just exosuits.
Yeah,
looks like fun.
Huh?
If it's got co-op, that's going to be really cool. I'm not crazy about the mech design. It's
a box with legs.
It's a very boxy design, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. It's just it's I guess that line between anime and practical,
right? Yeah.
Because whenever anime makes a practical mech, it usually looks pretty boring.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
when anime and this is why I don't think live action anime is a good idea.
Yeah.
Anime goes so hard and so far, real life just cannot compete, and so it's rough when you try to make it realistic.
Like,
so
Pacific Rim did a really good job at feeling like anime come to life, even though it wasn't. But they did that in such a way to where, like, they did focus a lot on how everything worked, but not too much. Like, they didn't worry as much about making it make sense.
Right.
They just were like showing you, quote unquote, how it works. So you got like zoom ins on like the gears moving the mech, and like when they did like the rocket punch thing, you saw the parts shift. Like they showed practical stuff to it, but they weren't worried about drawing attention to the question of how the hell is any of this possible. So that's how you do that, I think.
Right.
But with this, like when I think of practical mechs done right, and by practical I mean like mechs that seem like they could exist in a not super distant sci-fi future. I think of Mech Warrior, because some of them are literally guns on legs. and that's just, that makes sense as to what a machine of war would be if we did mechs kind of soon. But Japan, because it's Japan, it has to have arms and legs, because it has to be able to emote similar to how a character would, because you spend so much time looking at that character. So with Synduality, I think what it is that the mechs have kind of a boxy, quote unquote, practical look, but the inclusion of the arms and the legs makes it look boring.
Yeah.
But at the same, like, I don't mind it, because especially when I hear this, I think like you're a mech suit going into a hazardous environment. That design makes sense because it's very bulky.
Right.
So it doesn't bother me, but like it's no Gundam or Mech Warrior.
Right.
It's just a box with legs, and we'll see what kind of customization I can do.
We'll see. I'm excited about it.
Anthem is a great game that
didn't have the support it needed.
Whose parents hated it.
I do want us to do another live stream of that.
I would love to.
I've been itching to download it just to see. So
yeah.
And then of course they ended the showcase in what I thought was a really funny way. They said and one more thing, and then they announced a custom controller for God of War, and there was just long enough of a pause after they showed the controller between that and like a new trailer that you could have believed that it was the final thing. Like that was really the last thing they were going to say.
That's a dope controller though.
It's a cool looking controller. Look, I love this whole like bear and wolf comparison that they're making between Kratos and Atreus in a lot of their imagery coming in. So I'm really curious if that's gonna like play out in the game. But yeah, it's a good looking controller. But anyway, it was just funny that was like, oh, cool. That's it. That's all you're going to show us of the game. We got a really in-depth new trailer about the game. I don't want to spoil or talk too much about it, but it continues to look awesome. I'm really excited to see where the story's going to go. I'm really curious, like, what's going to change from 1 to 2? I hope we're going to get to. I don't even know that I want to control Atreus more, but I hope Atreus's powers have really grown in the time that we've missed out on. And then honestly, I just want to throw Thor's hammer. I just want I want that to be a thing we get at some point. But
yeah, Mike, we didn't abandon Anthem. We conquered Anthem, and EA abandoned it.
Yes.
We wept because there were no further lands to conquer in Anthem.
A grizzly bear or a silverback? I'm going to go with a silverback, to be honest. Gorillas are scary.
Yeah, I would think a silverback would have more control over a situation like that.
Yeah.
Because you got the adaptability of 2 arms, 2 legs, but with the muscle of a silverback gorilla.
Yeah. It's more like 4 arms.
4 arms, that's true.
Arms and the muscles of a silverback. Sure, the bear's got claws, but like the gorilla's got teeth. You know what I mean?
I'm not dissing the grizzly bear. You've seen
the gorilla will be hurt, but the gorilla will win.
I have mad respect for the grizzly bears of the world, but I don't know. Silverback gorilla in that kind of situation.
Yeah, Akib.
I don't know.
God of War was great. I'm so excited for the next one. I hope it can. I don't know how they could succeed the first one, but I hope it's just as good. So anyway, okay. Well, that's that. Now, Steven, I think the cleanest transition here would be to talk about Assassin's Creed announcements from the Ubisoft Forward. I was shooting a wedding. You paid way more attention to it than I did. So why don't you give us the rundown on what happened there?
Yes, I'm trying to pull up a kind of rundown of the announcements. Talk about Edge Runners real quick.
Okay, cool. Here you go. So Edge Runners, as Steven preps here, Cyberpunk, the game 2077 came out, and I think by all accounts everyone was pretty disappointed with the game. Hype had gotten away from them. There were some things that just weren't ready. I ended up playing it. I platinumed it. I really enjoyed the story. And honestly, I really enjoyed the gameplay, the experience that I got. There was just parts of it that were missing. They've since done a lot of updates. I personally haven't gone back to it. But they announced some Edge Runners content, which is what I'm getting to. But that's the anime show that they announced went before the game even came out, that they were doing this. They announced that Trigger was going to be the animation studio on it, which was really exciting. I love a lot of their work. So super, super exciting. Anyway, they announced some Edge Runner content, and then they announced that new DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 will be coming. And all this happened right before the series released on Netflix. And I feel like that's important context here because over the weekend, Cyberpunk Edge Runners took the world by storm. Cyberpunk 2077's player count on Steam is higher right now than it was at launch. I would argue because of Edge Runners. There have been a lot of great improvements. The game that these people are either discovering or coming back to is better in a lot of ways than what they started with.
Right.
And so this is a really, between this and The Witcher, which The Witcher 3 did not need any help. But when the Netflix series came out, its numbers exploded for a period of time.
Right.
Both of these are really interesting case studies about why you should do not necessarily a tie-in show, but why you should do a show based on your video game series because of numbers like these that are happening right now. Anyway.
Which is going to be real topical when we get to the Ubisoft stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, anyway, we'll get to that. So Edge Runners, the series on Netflix right now, talking about that, regardless of Cyberpunk 2077. It is amazing. If you've seen any of the trailers, I forget, there was a trailer that came out right before it actually launched. And I remember texting Brody and Steven and saying, Trigger has gone so effing hard on this show. The action, the art is top notch. And especially like top notch anime shit. Like there are arms, like robot arms are coming out of things and shooting lasers and rockets going off and like explosions. There's a crazy mech thing that happens at the end of the show. It just goes places. While telling, I think, a really compelling story about the dangers of being told you're special.
Okay, that's not what I expected.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting it, especially like as a millennial, and I think like one of the stereotypes you can throw on millennials is like, oh, your parents all told you you're special, and now you think you're better than everybody else, whatever. I think that's
I don't know. I don't know where that comes from.
Well, now, like,
yeah.
kind of a trend now is like people are saying like, don't tell your kids they're special because that kind of like messes with their head a little bit. They feel like they're supposed to be doing something crazy when they get a great job, being a manager of a Walmart or something. And it's like, that's awesome. That's great. But they were told they were special and should be the president of the United States of America or whatever.
It's the entitlement that thinks that they don't have to work for things, and they weren't taught. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like a lot of people in the latter half of our generation, and especially in the earlier Gen Z generation.
Is that Peter crying?
That is Peter.
Okay, great.
But they didn't ever learn how to work for things, or were never taught that they would have to work for things.
Right. And obviously we're stereotyping a little bit here, but or generalizing. But anyway, as somebody in that generation who has had to kind of battle with like, I am special, but it doesn't mean, whatever. It was a really interesting story for me, but without spoiling it, basically, well, you'll just watch it and you'll see. So a really great story with a really great message, I think. But also the world takes it has all the best elements of Cyberpunk 2077, the game. The world that they are in, which is obviously the world of the game, like they highlight the best parts of it. And like, I think in a lot of ways, they highlight what they were trying to do in the game better. Kind of, again, talking about how anime can just go places that like realism can't. Like, similar thing, right? Cyberpunk is supposed to look real, but this is an anime, so it can go further, and so I think there's a lot of elements of that.
How's my audio, by the way?
You're fine. You're fine. Yeah. Yes, I can hear Peter when he kind of makes some noises, but it's adorably precious, so don't change anything. Oh, he's so sweet. Peter does not need to listen to this conversation because it's about to take a nosedive. So it brings all of the best elements of the show, and is a great story. It's got a great cast. It's 10 episodes. They're about 30 minutes each. So I'd say it's a pretty easy show to get through. The action is crazy. The characters are really cool. I binged it all at once, and so for me, my pacing is probably off. But because I'd be really curious what Brody would say, because Brody watched it over about a week.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I would be curious what he thinks, but I felt like it was way too, like, it went way too fast for me. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this in other shows where, like, character arcs conclude really quick, like like maybe over 2 episodes, but when you watch it all at once, it feels like one episode, right?
Right.
So anyway, there's a little bit of that, but the other thing I'll just warn, and Austin warned this at the very top, it is 18 plus 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 plus. They do not shy away from nudity or anything. It is just very much a game where everything's out there on the table. So, or a movie, a show, where everything's out there. So I don't know that there's ever necessarily just like, here's a dick, but you're going to see titties, you're going to see butts, you're going to see, all sorts of stuff. So, anyway, so it's a mature.
It is hilarious to me that you went dicks, titties, butts.
No. There's no dicks. There are titties and butts though. So I don't know why.
The fact that you censored yourself so hard and just went butts.
Butts. But anyway, it's all of that if you can, and like, I don't know. I feel like Game of Thrones. Well, I don't know. Game of Thrones. I feel like in a lot of ways just put nudity where there didn't need to be, and this show does that.
Like in their siblings.
Yes, in their siblings. They love to put nudity in
Why
their
did I say
siblings.
that? I see that, Peter.
But I don't know. Anyway, it's there, whatever. But the show is great, and if you played Cyberpunk and then went away from it, and you were like, man, I was so excited about like a cool story, like this world seemed really interesting, this environment, like go watch the show, because all of the themes, like obviously the Edge Runners are just they are a group of cyberpunks, and in the game, the cyberpunks are like these mercenaries, and like they basically live by this code of no one will remember us while we're alive.
Yep.
But if we go out doing something amazing, we'll live forever. And so that's a huge theme in the game. And it's not the main theme here, but the like elements of that are definitely here, especially in some other characters. It's just good. It's really, really good. And I mean, if for no other reason, like Trigger is, in my opinion, one of the best anime studios out there as far as like art direction and just their animation style.
Yeah. Just
watch it for that. Like, and then if you enjoy anything else, then you heard it from me. But you know what I mean? Like, it's great. So anyway, I can't recommend it enough. Obviously, it's 18 plus, so take that with some reins there. But yeah, my biggest compliment, and obviously this is shown in numbers, but I was so on the DLC when they announced it. After watching this show, I cannot wait to play the DLC now. Yeah. Like when the DLC comes out, I'm jumping in day one to get back into it. The only reason I'm not jumping back in right now is because there's a ton of other things I'm trying to play and get to. So right. I don't want to spend the time.
When's the DLC coming out?
I don't know if we got a date for it, but I think next year. So.
Can you see his eyes? His eyes open.
I see his little eyes opening every now and then. He's taking a look. Sweet little baby.
There's his eyes again.
So anyway, that was Edge Runners. Are you in a place where you can talk about AC?
Yes.
Or okay?
Yes. I'm trying to settle him in the swing. He's probably gonna start crying.
I'm glad you said where you put him, because to me,
I just put him on the floor.
And I wasn't gonna say anything, but
Right,
since you brought it up.
No, there's a swing next to. But so AC. I'm gonna talk some highlights of the Ubisoft Forward. There really wasn't a lot,
right? It was kind of supposed to be an Assassin's Creed blowout, anyway. So
it basically was.
Yeah.
We got that boss fight from Mario plus Rabbids. Looked really cool. Skull and Bones.
It's still a thing.
It's still a thing. They announced it is going to be $70. And this is going to be a theme of the few things I'm going to say about the Ubisoft Forward.
Are you going to be able to walk around as the pirate, or
No.
are you just the ship?
You're just the ship.
So they still didn't. All these years, they still didn't fix that problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
The best thing about this the forward pre Assassin's Creed was probably the stage that they used was kind of like what they used to shoot the Mandalorian, where they had
the screens. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you could see like the creative director, whoever she was of Skull and Bones, was on the boat. That was really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
But, and this is where I need to put a disclaimer, I am not saying if you're going to make a video game, you better learn how to speak American or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. But when such a large portion of your audience is in the States and you are presenting your forward in English,
mm-hmm.
don't get someone to present whose third language is English or even lower. And that was a problem. Thankfully, they had subtitles, but with the lady that presented Skull and Bones, her accent was so thick you couldn't really make out any of it. Which just didn't help Skull and Bones at all, because you're having to read the subtitles and then you're, like it's a whole deal.
Watching, yeah.
And I'm no disrespect to these developers, because it's impressive enough that these developers who are not local to the States and who are in countries whose primary language probably isn't English.
Right.
It's impressive enough that they do speak English.
Like you said, I mean, it's their third. If this is like their second or third language, like I don't know any other languages.
Right.
Like that's incredibly
that's impressive.
Hard to do.
Right. That's impressive enough. But it really pulls the wind out of your sails of what you're trying to talk about when I can't understand you.
Yeah.
So dub over it.
Nice connection back to the sales too, and the pirate game. Yeah. Thank
you. Speaking of people who were the wrong person for the job, Tom Clancy's The Division 2 had some news. They not only confirmed the next season, there will be a new PvE mode in the next season, not the one that just started. One just started this week.
That's crazy.
My gun's still broken. It's been 4 months. And to prove that no one working on that game actually plays the game, part of the reward track for this season is skins for that gun that's broken. So there's that. They confirmed that there will be another year of support, year 5. Which is very interesting
to me.
Yeah. It to me, it's like they do not care about that franchise, because they're sending mixed signals. Because the Division 2, which is supposed to be their flagship, I think they acknowledge that it's in such a mess to where they're trying to redefine what it means to be a Division game.
Oh God.
Which brings us to the next things. The Division Heartland. If I had no knowledge of this game prior to going into this forward, I would be hype on Heartland.
Is this the mobile game one?
No, that's
okay. We're getting
that's
there.
coming.
We're getting there.
Yeah, here, I'm just reading what it says. It's from Kotaku. New free-to-play survival action shooter. Fans of the Tom Clancy series more broadly will recognize Red Storm Entertainment, the studio which worked on a number of classic Rainbow Six and Ghost Recon games over the years. They're expanding the world of the Division with new environment and events that connect directly into the cluster of situations the world finds itself in this series. So basically, Red Storm is like in my recollection, have been kind of like the MVP of Tom Clancy games. They are really good with shooters and with just gunplay in general. And so to hear Red Storm is taking a crack at the Division, which I think they helped with the Division 1, and the Division 1 is the best in the series, in my opinion. That's exciting. So we got to hear some people from Red Storm talk about it. We got to see a little bit of gameplay. There's melee weapons.
Ooh, okay.
They talked about it as if the way they described it sounded like Fortnite Save the World. And that's a compliment.
Right.
To where it's like during the day you're scavenging, during night you're defending the town. That sounds so dope for a Division game. But I have the curse of knowledge, and I know that this is just basically going to be Escape from Tarkov, but Ubisoft. So not as good. To where it seems like this is going to be them like making a definitive Dark Zone experience. So it's PvP. But I respect Red Storm. I don't know where they've locked them away all these years, but I'm glad to see that they're
Doing
taking
something.
taking a whack at the franchise. Then we saw the Division Resurgence. It's a Division mobile game. Takes place in New York. They basically redid the Dark Zone trailer from the Division 1 back in 2015, where Ryan, Bronson, and Megan go into the Dark Zone, and it shows them turning on another team of agents, and then they're extracting, and at the last second, Ryan goes rogue and kills Megan and Bronson. They literally did that again in this trailer.
Yeah.
It's like, guys,
You already did
you
this.
did this 7 years ago. But in terms of like mobile games, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Right. But it's the theme of this forward was like every time they announced a game, it was like, boom, mobile game. Like, so every time they mentioned there's Rainbow Six Mobile, they're doing that.
Yeah.
That was another thing. They showed stuff for Mythic Quest Season 3. Blah, blah, blah. This is a mobile game that I'm actually really interested. I'm not going to use it, but I think it's really, really cool. And it's probably the most unique thing that Ubisoft is doing. Rocksmith Plus.
Oh yeah, the guitar playing thing.
Yes, it is Rocksmith. Back in the day, it came with a USB to 1/4-inch cable. You could plug up your actual guitar and learn songs on Rocksmith by playing them in the game. And that's like
Crazy.
6, 7, 8 years old that
Yeah.
we've had that. So Rocksmith Plus is a service that you can pay for where you don't need the cable. It's an app. So you can learn songs through Rocksmith wirelessly through your phone.
That's crazy.
That is so neat. That is
Yeah.
the kind of stuff that I love to see from big AAA developers like this. So well done on that. Hope it works out. Peter's turn on some. It's okay, buddy. Hold on.
This is what our channel has become, folks. That Steven has literally got his son right next to him. I've got mine on an iPad that I'm watching, and I have him running to my headphones. So, like, this is what we've become. We are the dad channel now.
Yep. They just showed Just Dance. Talked about that. So then they did the Assassin's Creed forward, which was the vast majority.
Right.
One of the hosts was the guy who voices Sean in Assassin's Creed, the nerdy British dude. So that was cool.
That is cool. Bring a little history back.
So they showed Mirage, which you follow Basim, who is the only connection to actual assassins in Valhalla, and he's like just a guy that's there sometimes. But you follow him, and it takes place in 9th century Baghdad. Feels like a blending of original Assassin's Creed and Aladdin.
Yeah.
To where Basim is going to start very humble beginnings, street thief, all that stuff. But they keep saying like return to roots. This is a return to roots. It's going to feel like classic Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
I'm thrilled to hear that.
It's supposed to be a smaller game too. Like I think
yes,
20,
it was
30
originally
hours.
It was originally imagined as Valhalla DLC, but then they made it its own thing.
Yeah. I haven't been this excited for an AC project in a long time. And it's so funny because like Viking as a theme is way more exciting to me than like Baghdad. No offense to Baghdad, but something about just like the way they did the trailer, what they're talking about this game is going to be. It looks like Assassin's Creed 2.
Like you could make a Viking game that has that hype behind it, but they didn't, and they never tried to act like they were going to. And the thing about this is that it seems like it's going to put an emphasis on the social stealth, the parkour, the assassinations,
all
being
the
a part
we
of
really
the Creed,
liked about
just
original
all of that
Assassin's
good stuff.
Creed games.
And that was just the first thing they mentioned. So we got stuff for Mirage. There was a funny moment when in the trailer, they didn't show any gameplay, but then they talked about pre-order bonuses, which I thought was hilarious. But there's a moment when this dude that Basim is chasing throws sand at him, and Basim's like sidesteps away from the sand, but it does a slow-mo shot as if that was earned. It's pocket sand. Like nothing's going to happen if it hits him. I'm going to let him chill. Yeah. You just put it over there.
He could have died from that sand, though, Steven. He needed that slow-mo dodge.
But I just thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So we're getting so there's an 11-minute documentary. I believe it's on YouTube. Yep. Called Assassin's Creed Beyond the Creed. It's 15th anniversary documentary. It's 11 minutes. Don't know how you do a 15-year anniversary documentary in 11 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
Yeah. They are doing a final update for Valhalla called The Last Chapter. Not sure if it's going to be paid or not, because they've been given some free updates to Valhalla.
Yeah.
Then we get into the good stuff. Well, more of the potentially good stuff. Assassin's Creed Codename Jade.
Mm-hmm.
This is an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in China,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a mobile game.
Right.
I love the idea of an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in China.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty pissed off about it being a mobile game,
Mm-hmm.
but mobile's come a long way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Genshin Impact exists.
Yep. Genshin
We'll
Impact
see.
you can also play on a console, though. So,
Mhm.
you know.
There's an Assassin's Creed Netflix show being made.
Now that is going to be interesting.
The show is being co-produced with Netflix. Ubisoft and Netflix are working real close together now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because we're getting this show. Also, the screenwriter of Die Hard is working on the Assassin's Creed show,
Wow.
which is odd.
So it's going to be a Christmas movie.
Pretty good. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested in more than just Netflix show and new games, blah blah blah. Assassin's Creed Symphonic Adventure live concert, an art book exploring the history of the series, a cool figurine for Amunet, a podcast with echoes of history, a novel, a webtoon sequel to Assassin's Creed 4. A lot of little stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did not know about the podcast. That sounds kind of cool.
I was going to say that actually does sound cool. What is
Yeah.
that about?
Podcast with echoes of history is all this says. I'll look into that more.
Yeah, I might be interested in that.
Assassin's Creed Echoes of History is what it's
Yeah.
called. There's a novel, The Magnus Conspiracy, and some Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag webtoons.
Yeah.
Before we even get into like the big stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all just kind of, hey, Assassin's Creed is an IP that we're really expanding.
Yeah.
on. And I actually feel good about it
Mhm.
because of what's coming next in what we're
Mhm.
going to talk about. But it like this is definitely like them finally just being like, this is a franchise. It's time we actually like make it a modern franchise rather than just one that
Yeah.
does video games and had a failed movie.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too, and this is one of the directors, the new directors for, I think maybe Mirage, he talked about how they've kind of had this shift in focus where they're going to make a shorter game that focuses to please a certain audience.
Yes.
And just, if we don't get everybody, oh, well, we'll get them on the other project that we're doing.
And that
so-
is how it should be
Yeah.
done.
I'm really
Because
excited. That was really encouraging to hear.
like ever since Origins, which I respect Origins. I haven't played it a lot. I played it a little while ago. I thought about downloading it again. Haven't made up my mind. But I respect Origins because it was the last time that Assassin's Creed felt like Assassin's Creed. Because it was a very personal story that was written intentionally and not just so that you could put blank slate character that is written super generic because they're man or woman. Bayek felt very intentional. Like his struggles were intentional. They were crucial to his arc. But Origins set in motion a standard, of them making it a looter slasher, essentially,
Right.
like a looter slasher action RPG, but also small things like they introduced the Eagle, which made sense for Bayek because of his background, and like his Eagle played an important role in his story.
Mhm.
But because the Eagle did well, guess who else has an Eagle?
Everybody says
Everybody
that.
has an Eagle.
Even Bayek and no, not Bayek.
Bussing.
Bussing. In
which
Mirage is going to have an eagle.
We'll see on that. I could see them making that make way more sense
Mhm.
because Falconers in that time period, in that place in history, I believe, were not uncommon.
Yeah.
So I could see that making sense.
I mean,
But
look,
the fa-
even in the original Assassin's Creed games, didn't we use falcons or eagles to get assassins contracts? Don't you remember that?
Probably.
I think it makes
Uh,
sense, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
but well, it was more than just because with Bayek, it was like a spiritual bond with his animal.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
the animal, the eagle is a character. With Odyssey and
Valhalla.
Valhalla,
You just had a bird.
I played a lot of those.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get, I don't know how far in the story I got because those games are so freaking long and bloated.
Mm-hmm.
But I played enough to where if the birds in those games were important or crucial to the character, I would have known about it.
Right.
But they were just there because Bayek did it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had this bad precedent where Assassin's Creed was just like, let's just do the exact same game, but let's do it in this different setting. And you may be chuckling to yourself saying, they kind of did that already with every other game, but they didn't because they adapted the character to the time period and to the character themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Arno from Assassin's Creed Unity had access to stuff that Ezio didn't, and Ezio had stuff that Arno didn't. Arno had murder mystery quests because it made sense to his character. He was a very inquisitive kind of person. Like Ezio as a detective makes no sense.
Right.
but Arno made sense because he was a lot more level-headed and he was very lawful good. And so the characters had personality. They were defined. And so when you go to Odyssey and Valhalla, they weren't. It was just, they were defined by, okay, what are we adding to the broth that is an Assassin's Creed game at this point?
Right.
That's already way too bloated with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear them say shorter games, more focused, I'm thrilled with that because Basim is his own person.
Mm-hmm.
He should feel completely different from Ezio, from Eivor, from, I can't remember the freaking assassin. He's not even an assassin. The guy from Odyssey, Alexios or Cassandra. We'll just say Cassandra. It's easy to remember.
She's the canonical one anyway. So
yes. But they should feel different because they're different.
Right.
Like it's not hard. And it allows you to do so much more with the setting to where, I mean, let's say that Basim is a falconer and he has the bird. Cool.
Right.
Like that makes playing him more unique and it makes it more like timeless to where if I really like the experience of playing him, I just go play it again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really excited to hear that, but also more on that in a second, because we're getting into the other announcements. The next big flagship Assassin's Creed game, like the next AAA console game, Assassin's Creed Codename Red, Feudal Japan.
Finally,
we will play out. Yeah, no kidding. We will play out, quote, a very powerful shinobi fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Very glad they took that direction.
Yep.
Because a samurai would make no freaking sense. And we don't really have, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really have a game that takes an approach to shinobi historically.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Ninja Gaiden exists, but that's not what that is.
Well, I mean, I think obviously the easiest comparison is Ghost of Tsushima, but even there,
that's they don't even like that's not even shinobi.
Yeah, that's samurai.
That is a disgraced. That is a samurai making disgraceful decisions, and they're intentional to avoid the wording of shinobi because it's not interchangeable.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I loved the way they did that in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
And I think it really gives Codename Red, Tsushima almost politely stayed in their lane because it's almost like they knew ninjas over here, samurai over here, we're going to be right here. You just go along this way. Do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they intentionally did that for Assassin's Creed's sake, but it's positioned in such a way to where they could really make their own, like make it to something that's their own.
Yeah.
And I think the idea that we could have an Assassin's Creed game where you play as a ninja and Ghost of Tsushima where you play as a samurai, but it feels like an Assassin's Creed game. The fact that we have both of those, but they both could feel distinct.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't think we'd get that. but we could.
Yeah.
And then, so they announced that is going to be a console title.
So excited. Can't wait.
Ubisoft Quebec, they did Odyssey, is behind the game.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm nervous about with this one is with it being, as you said, the big like flagship title, the next one. I'm afraid it's going to be too similar to Odyssey, Valhalla, etc. But
I'm hoping that because we're at this crucial moment in the franchise where they're redirecting, they're correcting their course. I'm really hoping that because we'll have Mirage ahead of time and potentially even Jade or some other stuff.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Red is going to act as the new Origins, to where they say, we did the action RPG thing for a while. This is our new direction. And so like, I'm hoping they try this new thing. They make it feel distinct. And they just kind of like how Ghost of Tsushima felt like they just were saying, we want to make a Kurosawa inspired samurai fantasy. Like not even, but like the fantasy of being a samurai. We want to do that the best we possibly can.
Right.
So that people will come, like the game itself will be timeless as a classic that fulfills that itch to play as a samurai in that era.
Right.
I'm hoping that Ubisoft, taking this more case by case approach, they are saying, this is not us saying this is what Assassin's Creed is moving forward. This is us saying moving forward, Assassin's Creed will be taken on a case by case basis, and we're going to make the best possible shinobi power fantasy game that we possibly can, so that it is timeless. That's what it needs to do. Because we don't need multiple shinobi Assassin's Creed games. We just need one really good one. Do one, knock it out, move on. Which, speaking of moving on, this is from Ubisoft Montreal, another flagship title, codenamed Hexe.
Oh God, I'm so excited about this one too.
I saw this and I went, Blair Witch Assassin's Creed.
It's Assassin's Creed in the time of the
Witch Trials.
The Witch Trials, yeah.
Which the trailer apparently is packed with secrets. Which is
have they shown a trailer?
It was what they showed of like the stick symbol. That's why I said Blair Witch, because it's the trees and then it shows the assassin symbol made out of twigs.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But apparently there's Easter eggs there and secrets, which I love that, because that's
cool.
To the core of the DNA of Assassin's Creed is decoding, and looking for details where you may not expect them.
Right.
And so all of this was like, man, this sounds like a lot. But to me, and this part is where we go into speculation. But I feel like I've got a pretty good idea of what they're going for after reading some interviews and doing some stuff. So they mentioned Assassin's Creed Infinity. It is being described as a one-stop place for all Assassin's Creed games. And I read that it will act as a storefront of sorts. So you can buy all of your Assassin's Creed games in Infinity, but I imagine it'll work similar to Ubisoft Plus, where if I have Rainbow Six Extraction on Game Pass and I select play, it's still routing me through Ubisoft Connect. So I imagine, which is really funny because you could potentially have a situation to where you have Assassin's Creed Mirage on Game Pass, you click play, it opens up Ubisoft Connect, and then Ubisoft Connect opens up Assassin's Creed Infinity. That would be really funny. But you could have that kind of situation where Assassin's Creed becomes its own independent thing away from Ubisoft Connect. But the reason this is interesting, and this was implied in some stuff I read, it's not just a place to buy your Assassin's Creed games. It is a hub that seems like it might exist in universe. So notice that in none of the announcements they made did they talk about the modern day story, because they are pivoting to where Assassin's Creed Infinity is the modern day story. So that when you want to play Assassin's Creed, you want to just get in and play as an assassin in 9th century Baghdad, and you don't want to deal with all the modern stuff. Great. But Infinity will act as a hub to where you can get all of this lore and ARG stuff, so that maybe you could find emails between characters that have to do with the timeline correlation of Mirage. Similar to how in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, when you get out of the Animus for your frequent breaks,
Yep.
you can check the computer and more emails have been received. Something like that. So maybe when you're playing Mirage, you unlock progress in the meta story in Infinity to where you can experience the modern stuff in a place where all the modern stuff happens, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Black Flag is the one I keep kind of pointing to. In that game, the modern day stuff was you were like a worker doing game testing.
Yeah.
And you went to your desk, and that's how you like got into the game. I kind of wonder if it's going to be something like that, but obviously hugely expanded upon.
Well, it's kind of amazing how much before Origins came out, Assassin's Creed, when you look back, everyone probably says like Assassin's Creed kind of started to die after Desmond did. Because they tried to figure out, what do we do?
Yeah.
They were so ahead of their time with their ideas to where we didn't even realize it.
Right.
To where the whole idea of being a worker that's playtesting all this stuff, trying to sift through the memories of Desmond's father or whatever it was in Black Flag, and then Unity, which I freaking loved the meta ideas of Unity, because when you start Unity, you start it up as if you're starting Netflix if it was owned by Abstergo.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah, so kind of like a History Channel kind of situation, to where you're shown all these different characters throughout history, but only one is unlocked, and it's the tutorial mission where you play as a Templar around medieval France. And then the assassins hack your feed and they redirect you to Arno's story because they're using you to find his last known location.
Yep.
That's brilliant, because what that potentially is that could be that could be what Infinity is.
Yeah.
To where, and they even said this in an interview, to where having Infinity as a hub allows them to free up smaller teams that make good content, like the team that made Ragnarok, the Valhalla Ragnarok. That they just made a DLC campaign that was apparently really well received, but they could get a smaller team to say, hey, let's make a one-off in Assassin's Creed Infinity that follows this one character and elaborates on their story. And suddenly you've got Infinity as a hub to get demos for games that don't exist. In a way, to where it's just more story, or like the whole thing of like, Assassin's Creed being a proving ground.
Yeah.
Or like Black Flag happened so that Ubisoft could be like, hey, will a pirate game work? Well, guess what? With Infinity, you can do that now, and it makes sense.
And it doesn't take away from another game.
Exactly. So they could have been like, what was an assassin during the pirate times like? Let's make like a 10-hour experience and see how it's received. That is so freaking smart if that's what they're doing. And I've given Ubisoft more credit than they've deserved before with something like Hyperscape. I thought Hyperscape was going to be a brilliant idea, because it sounded like it was going to be like the Oasis from Ready Player One, to where it's just an in-game world that evolves over time with more games and stuff like that. But instead, it was just a poorly received battle royale. Whatever. But with this, that is such a clever direction to take the franchise, to where you have very effectively, if they're doing everything that I'm speculating that they're doing, you very effectively streamlined the gameplay experience for the people who don't give a rip about the modern stuff, but you've somehow done that while giving the people like myself that care a lot about the modern stuff a whole new playground to play it.
Yeah. Not to mention, doesn't that tie into more multiplayer in Assassin's Creed?
Multiplayer is coming back. We don't know in what way, but Infinity will be involved in some way. Yeah. And I speculated that could mean maybe in Codename Red, there could be invasions to where like a Ronin could be hunting you, a la Watch Dogs invasions. Yeah. And maybe you could launch the invasion version of Red and play it that way, or so, like, or maybe you could launch a strategy layer of Red to where you, like, kind of like a dungeon maker, pick the defenses of different strongholds or something like that. Basically, ways to interact with other games through a social way that isn't just playing the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like just little things like that.
Yeah,
It's
I haven't
really
been this
exciting.
excited about the Assassin's Creed franchise in a long
Oh, absolutely.
time.
Last time I was this excited was with Unity, and I
Yeah.
was pumped for that game. I was
Yeah.
all on board for that game. I've been playing it again, and I still love it. But this is new and fresh, and for someone like myself who loves interwoven storytelling
Yeah.
and has not been getting it from Marvel, which is where I've been expecting to get it for the past 10 years, this could be really exciting because one could even say that my love for that kind of storytelling began with Assassin's Creed because that's how it started.
Yeah.
Um,
Steven, did you ever play Assassin's Creed Syndicate?
very little.
Okay. That's one of my favorites.
I couldn't get into it because this is going to sound really petty.
Mm-hmm.
The combat was so fast to where and this was amidst my time reviewing Unity.
Right.
And when I was really starting to appreciate the slowness that combat came with to where Arno felt human.
Right.
And in Syndicate, you're throwing such fast punches to where
Did you play as the girl?
I played
the sister? Okay. Because I feel like the brother being a brawler, that was way more his style, but I don't think that's how she went. She had to be a lot more stealthy.
I feel like there was a pettiness that came with Syndicate as well, because Syndicate was post Unity, and a lot of what they did felt like apologizing for things that Unity didn't do wrong. And this was back in the day when Ubisoft was at their peak around in my opinion, 2013 to 2016 Ubisoft. When they would do something that was really exciting and really good, but people would attempt to cancel them for it. Jason Brody in Far Cry 3, a character that is all about sacrificing your own humanity to finally be something of worth, which is a very human, relatable story. But he's white, so clearly it's a white savior story. It's this white guy coming to save all these island people, which no, that's not what it was. But that's why we got Ajay Ghale in Far Cry 4, who was native to Kyrat, and they gave no personality because they were afraid to, and he was boring as hell, which is why we got the deputy in Far Cry 5, who was literally speechless. But Ubisoft kept responding to these pretty much baseless accusations. And for example, in Unity, people were really pissed that when you played co-op, you couldn't be a woman. But in that controversy, it was left out that the reason you couldn't be a woman is because you're always playing Arno. And when someone, when you are playing co-op with somebody else, you always see yourself as Arno. And that means everybody else sees themselves as Arno as well. So your character to them is just some random face.
Right.
So it makes sense that you can't play a woman because it's Arno's story.
Right.
And it's just easier to not have to worry about such a small, petty complaint to where you have to animate the female form for something that no player is going to get to witness for themselves. And that kind of stuff happened a lot. And that's why we have Ubisoft where we are. They play it safe. They don't take risks. And they try to not offend. And now they're boring as hell. And so to hear that we're taking risks again with Assassin's Creed is so exciting. Because if this goes well, and they are going all in with this. But if this goes well, Ubisoft could finally start taking risks again.
Yeah.
And they, for the longest time, they were my go-to.
Right.
They got all the Tom Clancy stuff. They had Assassin's Creed. They had
Watch Dogs.
That's what it was. Far Cry, so many good IPs that felt different and felt innovative at the time. And because their quote unquote fan base is a bunch of whiny little bitches, they stopped pushing.
Yeah.
And so I hope that we are seeing the beginning of that changing.
Yeah. Well, I think even more so it's more they just got formulaic. They just started to see what was successful and started condensing everything to be the same game over and over, even in different franchises.
They figured out a way to be quote unquote inoffensive
Mm-hmm.
to the point to where in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, there's a cutscene to where Cassandra / Alexios and their significant other are standing together next to the sunset, and they have a child,
Mm-hmm.
but they are so afraid to offend that if you chose to be gay as Cassandra with a woman, you still have the child. Which, don't get me started on that, but it's okay. I don't want to say it's okay to offend. It's okay to not.
It's okay to make a choice
It's
for
okay
sake
to
of
make
the
a
story.
choice.
Yeah.
It's okay to be deliberate.
Mhm.
It is okay to just be intentional with what you're creating rather than creating it all around what you're afraid the response will be.
Mhm.
Because if no one pushed, then we'd still be playing Donkey Kong, which I don't even know if you realize this. Death Stranding pays homage to, because there are ladders in Death Stranding, much like there were ladders in Donkey Kong.
Oh, now that I've played the game,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Princess Peach, never
Princess
forget.
Peach, never forget. Look, there is actually a Mario reference in
I don't care.
Sam references Mario in Death Stranding. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff for Death Strand for Assassin's Creed. I seriously, every project I'm interested in. I mean, finally doing the feudal Japan Assassin's Creed that we wanted for so long. And then even Mirage again, just it feels like back in Assassin's Creed 2. Like it just looks like it's going to be good.
It is the game I think we all need from that franchise right now.
Yeah.
Just something that takes us back,
puts us in a good mood, and then pushes us forward. Yeah.
Something that shows us that Assassin's Creed doesn't have to be every Ubisoft game anymore.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be good. That is going to do it for tonight's podcast, everybody. Thank you for watching. I'm not missing anything major, right? I know we originally had pitched talking about Splatoon, but
there is a game that I'm telling Matt to download. This is just kind of a tangent, but I'm just curious what you think of this.
Okay.
Just based on like the concept. There's an MMO that you may have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 years old at this point, maybe a little older. It's called The Secret World. Have you heard of this?
I don't. It's not ringing any immediate bells, but
so it wasn't super popular, but it actually was published by EA back when it came out. That's how long ago this was. But the concept is it's modern day, but magic and all conspiracies are real.
Okay.
So different mythologies, demons, Cthulhu, like eldritch horrors, all that kind of stuff is real.
Okay. I'm immediately hooked. Yeah.
Yeah. And so your character is either recruited by the, I believe, Chinese organization, the Dragons, which are all about chaos. The Knights Templar in London, which are basically the lawful good. They're all about vanquishing evil at whatever cost. Or the Illuminati, based in New York.
Okay.
Which they're kind of a the best way I can describe them is Templars are about vanquishing evil, dragons are about chaos, and the Illuminati are just kind of in the middle. They seem like they're kind of self-serving, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, makes sense.
But you have,
how old is this game?
like 10 years old.
Wow.
It got a free-to-play reboot in 2016 called Secret World Legends. This is a free-to-play game. And so I downloaded it, and so far I'm really hooked, and I really want us to play it. Like us being like, I just want to play it with somebody.
Right.
Because it's not just an MMO where, like, think Guild Wars, to where it's very good action and it's all about the character build and everything. Secret World has decent combat. It's got passable combat. It is more focused on telling a very engaging story. Pretty much every conversation has a cutscene. And there's a lot of puzzle solving to the point where there is an in-game web browser that you're expected to use to solve certain puzzles. So it's kind of like playing an ARG in an MMO. And like in the first hour of playing this game, I went from my character who I chose Templar. But my character woke up, realized he had powers, had a dream where he was taught how to channel anima through which anima is like healing energy, because my starting class, which by the way, this is going to be real rambly, but I'll try to wrap it up in the next 10 minutes.
I'm watching a trailer while you talk, so okay. You're good.
So the classes are a combination of 2 weapons. So my starting class was mercenary, which means I use assault rifles and fist weapons, so like claws. But you use skills from both weapons for your loadout. So the way they describe it is you use your mystical energy through whatever weapon you equip. So for example, the assault rifle behaves like a assault rifle, like an M16, but you also can channel healing anima through it. So the assault rifle is a healing weapon. And the shotgun, which is really fun to use. I just tried it today. The shotgun it helps with tanking because it generates a lot of aggro and you can load different shells into it. There's swords, there's dual pistols, blood magic, chaos magic, elementalism, so elemental magic. Pretty sure there's a class called assassin, which uses swords and elemental magic. So you can kind of create your own class based on what 2 weapons you choose, and you can unlock all weapons, so you're not locked to what you start with.
Right.
But you can customize, like, okay, let's say I want to be a healer, so maybe I'll go assault rifle blood magic. How do I want to heal? Do I want to be more of like an overshield kind of character? So I'll focus more on blood magic and use these passive skills and these active skills. If I want to be more of a burst healer, let's use the assault rifle, focus on the grenade, make an anima grenade. So there's a lot of choices in how to implement those weapons. A lot of variety.
Yeah, I just watched it, and especially hearing all you talk about it, it reminds me a lot of like DC Universe Online.
Yes. It feels about as dated as DC Universe Online. It's a bit more recent, I think, but my hope is, like, playing it by myself, I was engaged enough with the gameplay alone, so I think playing as a group
could make it more fun. Yeah,
we could make it more fun, and the fact that because where I am in the story, I joined the Templars. They deployed me on my first mission. I went through freaking Agartha, so Hollow Earth is part of this game. I went through Hollow Earth to get to a New England town that has been overrun by an eldritch horror mist that's creating zombies. And that's the first place you go. Jeez. And so you're trying to uncover what is causing this mist. So it's a mystery while you're trying to survive all these zombies and save people. And it's really cool. It's very unique for an MMO, because more often than not, what you get out of those is a game that is like Lord of the Rings Online, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars, where it's all about questing with friends and everything. But with this, it feels a lot more meta, to where, one, it just takes really cool concepts from all corners of mythology and conspiracy and brings them like at the forefront, to where it's got like some Alan Wake Control vibes.
Yeah.
But 2, the presentation of how you play the game is really cool, because it's not one that you just look at, okay, what's my quest say I need to do? Okay, go kill 5 rats. Cool. It's more of like, go here and solve puzzle.
Yeah.
Or go here, defend yourself from these monsters, whatever. I've been wanting to play. I've played it probably 3 times. And by played it, I mean I've attempted. But each time I was solo, and I just
don't get very far that way. Yeah,
I don't get very far, because I eventually am just like, there's other stuff to play with other people.
Right.
But every time I start playing it, I feel like, man, this would be really interesting to just engage in the story with a crew. But what caused me to go down this rabbit hole of looking at Secret World again, they are starting a Kickstarter for a tabletop RPG in October.
For Secret World.
for Secret World.
Oh, okay.
So D&D Secret World.
All right.
And so I was talking to Matt about that, and so I was trying to explain the concept of the game to him, and he thought it sounded interesting, so he's downloading it. But also, I'm in the process of talking with Matt, seeing if he would want to do some kind of tabletop RPG with us as a big group. So all that to be said, I just really wanted to talk about that game because conceptually, like you remember why, like me being so hyped on Ghostwire Tokyo, which I stopped playing and I need to get back into. I just other things happened, but
Right.
Secret World is why I was so hyped on Ghostwire Tokyo, because the entire game of Secret World hits that vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's even like a big event in the game that you experience through a vision like the second half of the tutorial is another Eldritch horror outbreak in Tokyo.
Mm.
And so you go to Tokyo, Egypt, New England, some other places. There was one more that I had off the top of my head that I forgot. But yeah, you go all across the world. So,
yeah. Well,
Transylvania.
There you go. That makes sense. Yeah. Well, Secret World sounds fun. Definitely, I think something we should try as a group when we have a little bit less that we're trying to get through and play. Grounded 1.0 is about to come out. We're going to jump back into that.
Yep.
But
even if we don't play it, it's just one of those games that, like, when I hear, oh, there's an RPG, I'm immediately like, yes. That would work. Yes.
I'm totally down for that. I mean, there was a stream a while back where Matt was talking about D&D, and I was like, look, I am 100% down whenever if we want to do this. It's Steven and Jeremy that are going to need the convincing. And so I was very excited to hear you be like, I'm willing to do the thing, just not D&D.
Yeah. D&D is my line.
Yeah.
I won't do it because I've had too many bad experiences, and I've lost friendships over D&D being the way it is. Not because I was like, you play a D&D, we can't be friends, but more so like, I can't stand you anymore because of how you are with D&D. There's been a lot of that. And so I've bad blood with that entire IP. But I love the idea of tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
And in Matt's experience, at times when he's done tabletop RPGs, well, they've done D&D specifically, there hasn't been a lot of investment. It's divulged into, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we killed this NPC?
Right.
Hey, wouldn't it be funny if we killed every NPC? So I think if you take the idea of a tabletop RPG,
they played it a little bit more seriously. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it makes the party more invested if you do it in a setting that, like, if the RPG is in a setting that everyone is even somewhat invested in.
Right.
D&D is too broad. But if we were to play the Sentinels of the Multiverse RPG,
right,
or Secret World RPG, like, we're all interested enough and invested enough in the premise to where I think we would want to see where it goes, and it wouldn't divulge into chaos.
Yeah. Well, there's me and Matt, not to mention. But I guess if Matt's DMing, that he has to keep a little bit of order there. So
Matt would, he would DM.
Yeah,
and I don't know how I feel about that.
There'll be chaos.
Sure, right.
There'll be organized chaos for sure. Well, cool. Well, yeah, hopefully we can do something like that. So anyway, well, that's going to be our show for tonight. But of course, Chortlecast airs live every Monday night right here on chortlegames.com. And then, of course, it goes out to podcast services later. And it's not the only thing we do here on the channel. We also live stream usually on Thursday nights, Friday nights, and Saturday nights, with the occasional Sunday night stream or Tuesday night stream when we feel like it or want to play something. Going to be a good weekend this weekend as well. Not sure what we're playing Thursday. I think, Steven, maybe Monster Hunter. I know you're wanting to really get back into Monster Hunter.
I'm always down for some Monster Hunter.
We'll see what the other guys are doing. But
well, if we're going to have Jeremy and Matt on Thursday, then, I mean, take your pick. There's Back for Blood, GTFO, Grounded.
Lots of stuff.
Well, maybe.
Lots
Raft.
Of stuff. Grounded, we need to hold off another week, I think.
Is it I thought it was around the 20th. Is it around the 30th?
Let me pull up my screen that has a calendar because I have a full schedule. So Grounded is the 27th.
Okay, so a week from tomorrow.
A week from tomorrow, along with Kena Bridge of Spirits. update. Very excited about.
Cool.
But anyway, yeah, lots of stuff Thursday. We'll see. But Friday and then potentially Saturday, we're going to be doing Splatfest. So big Splatoon event happening. We're definitely going to do it Friday night, barring some major incident that one of us can't show up. The plan is to play it until we get the max rank on the Splatfest, like not leaderboard, but like personal, as far as we can go personally and individually. That's the plan. So if we meet that on Friday, or like if we only have like one more rank to go, and like, oh, we'll do that in our own time, like we may not do it again Saturday, but if we don't even get close to that, we'll probably stream it again Saturday, just because it's a big thing happening. But also, like I was telling the guys, with this being the first Splatfest, and like we get material that we're gonna need to make like gear sets that we want, this is kind of an important thing. So we may go hard on Splatoon this weekend, and probably won't ever go that hard again on a Splatfest, but we'll go hard for this first one. So anyway, good stuff all around. Be sure to subscribe, tune in, and of course we're doing our shorts and TikToks are going out weekly. This week,
The past couple have done really well.
Yeah, they've been really fun. The one launched today was from the character versus podcast, where we had the Wicked Witch of the West go up against the Iceberg. It was really funny. We've got one coming out Thursday about Moon Baboon and his communication tower. So lots of stuff there, but it really helps and is really encouraging when you guys comment on that, like it, share it with your friends, whatever. It's a great less than 60-second. Oh, hey, here's what this channel is all about. So if you can share that out, like it. At the very least, like it, and then like you can hit share and then hit copy link, and then you don't even have to paste it anywhere. The system thinks they shared that with somebody. So like just do
Did not
that.
know that?
Just do that.
That
yeah.
that is helpful.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. So just do that, or share it with somebody. Like I share all of our stuff on my personal TikTok channel with Lee Allison, because it's like, hey, there's a share. So whatever, just help us out a little bit. Like it, share it with somebody. Again, just copy the link and don't even post it. It'll be great. But anyway, that helps us out. We're trying to grow the channel here and all that through some of those. So definitely do that. But anyway, that is going to be it for tonight. We'll be back Thursday night with some sort of shenanigans. We'll see who's available. But either way, it's going to be a good time, and then a lot of Splatoon this weekend. So get hyped for that. But anyway, Steven, thank you again. Great conversation. Congratulations on being a dad. Can't wait to see more of Peter as he grows up and all that. Eventually, we'll have to have like an Asher and Peter like stream at some point. I don't know what that, maybe Extra Life. That's what Extra Life's going to turn into, as we just have all the kids. So we'll see. But that's going to be it for tonight. See you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.